Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Vikings comfortably atop the NFC Central host Houston's Oilers, uncomfortable with a disappointing 5-4 start. And they're glad to be on the road, the Oilers. They feel Houston fans have given up on them. And part of the reason for their last two losses, the knockout of Warren Moon. 2 weeks ago, Steelers' Rod Woodson on a cornerback blitz with a KO punch, not only to the jaw of Moon, his helmet hits the hard turf, and Moon said he has a headache that still is bothering him as he goes to work today. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg with Bob Trumpy. Some have referred to us as our own version of a Warren Moon headache. But I have a feeling after talking to the coaches, Houston felt that perhaps they made a mistake in letting Warren start against Cleveland last week. He had a terrible game.
No question about it. I think it's not just the concern about Warren Moon, Dick, but when you talk to Houston Oilers players and coaches, there are so many questions that they're asking themselves. They're not sure about the run and shoot. Is it us? Is it them? They keep looking for someone to come up with a big play. Today, it's absolutely mandatory. They need the big plays today.
Well, here in Minnesota, no questions, only answers from new coach Dennis Green. He describes himself as being at the helm of that purple and gold Viking ship, and he has led them to the biggest lead of any team in the NFL going toward the playoffs.
And it's so surprising, too. New coach, new coaching staff, a lot of new players. He has taken 47 players, Dick, and made them quickly into a football team.
The Vikings, 7-2, their best record since 1976, a Super Bowl year when they went to Pasadena. Of course, that's where all the teams are pointing at the end of this year. Super Bowl 27. Al Del Greco kicks it off toward the sideline to Keith Henderson, the former San Francisco 49er. And he's out to the 25-yard line, and on come the Minnesota Vikings. Rich Gannon, former Blue Hen at Delaware. And here are the big guys in front of him. Zimmerman, McDaniel, some feel as good as anyone in the league. Loudermilk, Habib, and the veteran Irwin. In the purple and gold, it'll be Terry Allen as a running back replacing Herschel Walker. The Carters, Anthony and Chris on the outside. Joe Johnson, the flanker. Steve Jordan, the Pro Bowl tight end. When they go to two tight ends, veteran Mike Tice, former Seahawk, will come in, one of the better blockers at that position in the NFL. Gannon has a delay as the Houston Oilers aid the injured Darrell Lewis, and he's a key player not only on special teams, but he's one of their extra backs in their nickel and dime. So Lewis, who played at Arizona, limps off after making the hit on the kickoff.
Dick, as insignificant as a slight ankle sprain might appear to most teams, anything like this to the Houston Oilers, when nothing is going their way, it becomes a huge problem. Now, without an extra defensive back in Darrell Lewis, already the defensive coach is on the sideline figuring out, well, who's going to take his place now. Not a good start for Houston on the first play of the game.
Well, you talked about all the questions. One of the big answers, one of the panacea for a team that is ill is the big play. They need it defensively or offensively, and they need it early today against this solid Minnesota football team. Gannon with a lone running back, Allen, and he comes out throwing. Underneath for 5 yards, Lamar Latham makes the hit on Allen, who's a good all-purpose man, number 2 in catches and leading in rushing. The Fuller rush man, Childress, one of the top tackles, with Doug Smith returning from injury, and Sean Jones. The backers are Lathan Smith, the leading tackler, Al Smith on the team, and rookie Eddie Robinson. Dishman and Gray at the corners, McDowell and Robertson at safety. 2nd and 5. Allen, first down as he crosses the 35-yard line, tripped up by Bubba McDowell.
Dick, one of the problems the Houston Oilers they're going to face today is this multiple formation motion offense of the Minnesota Vikings. Denny Green brought in Jack Burns, a former assistant with the Washington Redskins. They call this offense the ace. There's 2 tight ends, sometimes there's 3. Seldom are there 2 running backs, but you'll have a tight end in the backfield, 3 wide receivers. Their first task for Houston, identify, in fact, who's there first.
Superstitious number 21, Terry Allen, with Chris Carter in motion. Gannon goes down. The first first sack of the game, as burrowing under was the veteran Sean Jones, and there was help there from Doug Smith.
Sean Jones does an excellent job on Zimmerman, the outstanding offensive tackle. Sean Jones right here, out inside move. He gets to Rich Gannon in a hurry. This can be a big play. This is primarily a pass rush front four. Even though Doug Smith is in there, Childress, a defensive end, along with Fuller and Sean Jones.
Second down and 15. The crowd is quiet. A noon start here in the Twin Cities. Gannon trying to raise some voices, and it's broken up by the veteran Jerry Gray, the former Los Angeles Ram, a Plan B pickup of the Oilers.
Very tight coverage here by Jerry Gray. You can see he's off soft, but he reads the quarterback, comes right back to AC, able to get his hand over there and knock it away. I mean, I don't know what's going to ignite the Houston Oilers, but we've seen two successive good defensive plays.
Third down and 15. Vikings, who have started so well, getting that first possession and driving it into the end zone the last couple of weeks. Gannon under pressure, looking. He's a great scrambler. And can't quite find Terry Allen, who just as he thought Allen was going to curl up underneath, Allen took off and the pass incomplete.
Yeah, miscommunication between Gannon and Allen. Gannon wanted Allen to go back in the field to play so he could throw it to him. Allen thought Gannon wanted him to clear out.
There's Terry Allen. He said 21's been my number in college. He said both my daughters born on the 21st. And he says, and then I got one other. Pork chops. What does he eat before every game? Pork chops.
Quesadillas. I can't imagine anyone playing a professional football game with that being the pregame meal.
Webster Slaughter, who didn't return punts very often in Cleveland, if at all, in that capacity. The Oilers have not done a good job. Whoa! Didn't even get a chance to field that one. Tough to get any yardage when you're nailed, and that'll carry a penalty from the 24-yard line.
Wait a minute, Dick. I'm not so sure he wasn't blocked in to the receiver.
Well, the flag is down, and Ronnie West has been called for interfering with the opportunity to catch the ball.
Let's see if there's any conversation here. I don't think there's any doubt on replay. You will see the guy was blocked into it.
Howard Rowe.
Wow, I didn't think this was difficult. Watch from the right-hand side. I think that's a pushing up that would dictate that he was blocked into it.
15-yard penalty on a kicking team. First down.
That is a break for Houston.
So Ronnie West disappointed with the call. Perhaps an innocent victim. Maybe the officials felt that he had an opportunity to avoid contact even though blocked. He was barreling in on him.
Almost looked like he was even hit in the back, too.
So Houston looking for anything to awaken this team, many regarded as a serious Super Bowl threat this year, beginning from their own 40. Moon could not find Ernest Givens. Warren Moon, 36 years of age on Wednesday, as you heard on NFL Live. Maggs, Munchak, Matthews, Dawson, Williams, one of the talented offensive lines in the league. These two teams are well matched, both sides of the ball. Lorenzo White has matched his best career year, 702 yards at midseason. Jeffrey, Slaughter, Givens, and Duncan in the run and shoot. Against a defense that harasses passers with their tremendous rush. Lorenzo White gets a yard. Chris Dolman, Jack Del Rio in on the stop, and Henry Thomas.
Dick, as if Houston didn't have enough problems, this is the best defensive line they'll face in 1992, in my estimation. Dolman, former linebacker, played at 255 as a linebacker, now one of the premier defensive ends in the league. And this is not a defensive line that many people shove around.
Dolman, big play. He's forced 24 fumbles in his career. That's only 4 less than the great Alan Page's all-time Viking record. Third down. This is where Warren Moon says he's missed Drew Hill. Hill in Atlanta. incomplete, intended for Jeffries, and the Vikings got a hand on it. Jeffries was open, but it appeared to be Anthony Parker or Audrey McMillan that had a hand in the way.
Looked like Jeffries was trying to make a big play here. Watch, he knows where the marker is, but as he leans back to catch the ball and also make the first down, the ball just eats him up. You know, last week, one of the Houston Oilers' problems, they had 9 series of 3 and out, 7 straight. They start again on offense the same way they did last week.
Greg Montgomery leads the National Football League with a 47.1 average. That's the good news. The bad news is a lot of them have been returned. This one skips to the 10. Well, the Oilers down it. Nope. One of the Oilers had his foot on the goal line when he touched the ball. And so it's a touchback, Minnesota. There is one of the many things that here you have a chance to pin the Vikings down in the 3-2-yard line, and they're unable to keep it out of the end zone.
You lose 3 of your last 4. It's just simple things like this. I mean, it could have been 1st and 99 and a half, as it is a touchback.
59-yard punt, 39 net timeout. A lot of talk circulated in Houston. Of course, when you're not winning and expectations are so high that you start to look for means to criticize, and one is perhaps in the offense, the run and shoot. Atlanta not doing that well. Detroit in a in-between stage, and Houston having its problems. Have the defenses found out a way to stop the run and shoot?
Well, Dick, I'm not sure I can answer it completely, but I can tell you the defensive part of it. Defenses are beginning to be able to, you see enough film, to predict what the run and shoot is going to do. And if a defense feels like it can predict what the offense is going to do, that's a big leg up. And Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator, talking to Webster Slaughter, he's still learning this offense. This is not an offense you pick up in 2 or 3 weeks. There are a lot of adjustments on the fly for these receivers.
Slaughter, the man who has replaced Drew Hill in one of the slots. So again, looking from their 20-yard line, and Terry Allen to the 23, where it'll be 2nd down and 7. Allen, who said that Herschel Walker was an inspiration to him as a second-year man out of Clemson. He said his work ethic never would be questioned, the way Herschel Walker did his job, and he's tried to live up to that as he's taken over the spot as the running back. The only negative for Allen, he has fumbled 5 times. But you see, he's produced 639 yards plus 30 catches this year. And again, it'll be 3rd down and 3 as Al Smith and Marcus Robertson collaborate on the stop. Ran behind Randall McDaniel.
Yeah, but you know, one of the things Terry Allen has to learn, look from behind the defense. He's got to learn to stay with his blocker more. Now, this is the counter, comes to the left, and watch, he jumps inside the blocker. You've got to have faith in those offensive linemen that they're going to set up the block correct. Now, watch what happens when 65 Zimmerman pulls around here. If he stays outside that block, he's still running.
Yep. Zimmerman made a fine block, but he blocked his man right into the tackle. They get good forward progress. So 3rd and a long one, and a 1st down and a flag down at the 32-yard line. Smith and Latham, along with Robinson. Roger Craig. Howard Rowe, referee in the white cap, says it's holding against the Vikes. There's Craig, who picked up on Plan B from the Raiders after his 1 year in Los Angeles. Of course, played
Holding, number 30 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
Played in San Francisco when Dennis Green, his head coach now, was an assistant coach. He grew up in Davenport, Iowa, did Roger Craig, and said the nice thing about coming up here, it's only a 5-hour drive, so his family is able to see him play the home games.
He likes Dennis Green's approach, too. I mean, he likes to be a member of a team and a team atmosphere. That was certainly generated in San Francisco under Bill Walsh. Denny Green is taking the same approach. So this is fun football for Roger Craig. He said it wasn't fun with the Raiders.
3rd down, 11 after the penalty. In and down the middle, way off the mark. Anthony Carter, well covered. rookie linebacker Eddie Robinson had drifted right back into that area and was in front of Carter, so Gannon perhaps threw it away.
Excellent coverage, zone coverage by the Houston Oilers. So far, not much to report on here for either team, but Minnesota that time came with 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers, and you can see the zone drops and how far inside that ball was thrown.
Webster Slaughter back at the Oiler 35 as Harry Newsom punts for the second time. Former Steeler. Driving kick. Slaughter to the 43-yard line. 48-yard punt, 10 yards on the return for Jack Pardee's Oilers. No score here in the first quarter in the Twin Cities.
Delta Airlines. At Delta, we love to fly, and it shows.
Minnesota Vikings with a 3-game lead plus in the NFC Central. They are focused, and that has been the charge of their new head coach, Dennis Green. First down from the 43 Houston. No score. We've had 1 pass completion in 3 possessions. Lorenzo White. Big yardage. Rumbles inside the 45 of the Vikes, and it's a first down. Felix Wright makes the tackle, 13 yards.
Kind of a play on the old Statue of Liberty. Warren Moon gets the ball up, shows pass to the linebackers. Watch him put his hands up in the air. See the linebackers pull out 57, thinks it's passed. And Lorenzo White, excellent running back out of Michigan State. He is approaching 1,000 yards. Now that's, in my estimation, giving the ball more to him is one way to establish a positive feeling for the Houston Oilers on offense, Dick.
Well, on the runs and the offensive line get to block. They say the running suit's a passive offensive line experience. White with a catch and a gain of about 6, maybe 7 more before Al Noga can catch him from the backside. He wants the ball. He said, I'd like to carry it 40 times.
Yeah.
I wish that was Emmitt Smith in Dallas.
Yeah, and he told us last night, too. He said, the problem I have with this offense is I never know Sunday morning how much I'm going to carry the ball or catch it Sunday afternoon. It's all dictated by what the defense shows. This is a guy who, at 224 pounds, can carry the ball a lot, and it's a real slashing type runner. And look at that average per carry.
Well, with that run that got the first down, it's his career high in yardage. That's a short 4 for a first down. Moon to Givens.
Fumble.
And the Vikings have it. Oh, my. Jack Del Rio.
Boy, he did it last week, too, against Cleveland. Turned the football game in favor of the Browns. He does the tough part. He makes the catch. It's the simple square in. When he comes down,
Carl Lee.
Carl Lee had to look at the game films last week and see the way he wasn't protecting the ball, did the same thing that the Cleveland Browns did last week. Good protection, ball on the money, ball caught, ball away. Now all of a sudden, Houston starts thinking, wait a minute, here comes last week again. Those bad thoughts already.
That gives the Vikings a +5 in turnovers, Houston a -5. So that stops the Oiler drive. Anthony Carter. Chris Dishman gets help from the rookie Robinson. Out to the 30-yard line, a gain of about 7. Ernest Givens, who has a big insurance policy, as he says, on every part of my body. $3.7 million. Cost him $30,000 a year to be so well protected.
They've been taken from Givens here of late.
Ooh. The other scores on our 10-minute ticker. No score here in the Metrodome. Second and short, and Terry Allen driving to the yardsticks at the 33-yard line. Jordan and Tice, tight ends or tight end H-back. It's the Washington Redskins, basically their offense with some wrinkles. And, the credit to Dennis Green is, he's been injured. Doug Smith is down. Doesn't seem to be wearing any pads there on his thighs.
Yeah, that really is out of uniform. They could make him go to the sideline and put pads in his pants. It looks to me like may have pulled his hamstring again, which was the injury that kept him out for 4 weeks. Or maybe even, there he is, Doug Smith right there. He doesn't get a lot of contact, and yet watch him go down. It's the hit.
Yeah, he reached for the back of that right leg. While they're attending him, I'd like to go back to the point on Dennis Smith, or Dennis Green rather, if I may. You know, Green, I guess we'll have time. Well, I know you can't.
I know you'll get to it.
All right. Timeout. 7:22 left in the first quarter.
When we look at this again from ground level, he's the third defensive lineman in, and if this is all it takes for Doug Smith to pull his hamstring, he was not healthy enough when this game began to play. That is not a major stretcher pull, not a major hit. And sometimes athletes try to do a little extra for their team, play when they shouldn't. And that's not a healthy hamstring that he had right there.
They're listed at 328 pounds, but out for 4 weeks, might be a bit heavier than that, and all that weight coming down on the injury. Seems to be walking it off. First down for the Vikings. No score here at midpoint first quarter.
Green.
And Gannon ad-libs his way out to the 30, let's see where they start. No, they said he stepped out way back at the 35-yard line. And, of course, the Viking fans through the years, it's a new generation now, but Grandpa and Grandma and Papa and Mama will say, hey, we like Gannon. He reminds us of frantic Francis Tarkenton, who scrambled his way into the record book for the Vikings, got him into a couple of Super Bowls.
Difference is, I think Gannon is one of the excellent runners in the NFL. Fran was more of a scrambler to throw the ball. He runs to gain yards. I mean, yeah, he will escape, but he likes to get the ball up the field.
Good job by the Oiler defense as they spoiled the screen, and Gannon scrambled for 2 yards. 2nd and 8. Draw to Allen, and as he greeted rudely by Ray Childress, taking out some of his frustration on the running back. Sean Jones was there as well.
Minnesota with one tight end that tried to run the draw to the backside. Fuller hits him first, but nobody on that Minnesota Viking offensive line blocked Fuller or Childress. They were there to blow that play up big time.
Loss of a yard, 3rd and 9 as they've corralled Terry Allen. He's made but 16 yards in 5 tries. Incomplete. Chris Carter on a frantic attempt from Gannon, who was being pressured by Fuller and Jones, the 2 defensive ends. So Minnesota's offense, so outstanding the last couple of weeks, sputtering against the Oiler defense in the first period. That should please Houston fans, that their defense has answered the call this far.
Dick, those people in Houston looking for any ray of hope, no matter how slight.
Here's Newsome to punt again. Beautiful kick. Slaughter retreats.
Oh.
That's going to be a safety for the Vikings. That was a muff, and that was the momentum of the kick until the last of the Oilers threw it out of the end zone. That's got to be a safety. Chris Dishman seemed to be the last Oiler to touch the ball.
I think you called it correctly.
We have touching by the kicking team. There was never any possession. Ruling it's a touchback on the field. Stand.
Wow, is that a break for Jack Pardee? They get the ball at the 20 because the momentum was by the Vikings to kick. That's a muff, not a fumble. Never had possession there. But does Dishman? I think Dishman has possession.
Whoa.
2 hands, and he threw it out of the end zone.
Absolutely. Or he knows a quirk in the rule that works in the Houston Oilers' favor. By the way, Jerry Seaman, head of officials, is here in the Metrodome today, observing. You've got to have possession, clear possession of the football.
So there's no possession yet, but how about right here?
That's control. That's control. That should be a safety.
So Dishman with a heady play, and Dennis Green says that I don't care at what level we're talking about. Northwestern, San Francisco, University of Iowa, where I graduated, or back in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I won 2 points.
And
the ball.
Well, you got it. That initial part was a muff, but there was clearly control by Dishman putting that ball out of the end zone.
Well, that at least got the crowd's attention. Underneath to Lorenzo White for 5 yards. Mike Merriweather, what a game he had last week at Tampa Bay. Merriweather, the former Steeler, acquired 3 years ago. He seemed to make every tackle. Officially was credited with 12 solo tackles, but he was on the ball all day.
And you know, Dick, he can't weigh 225 pounds. One of the most active linebackers I think I've ever seen in the NFL. He's a good coverage guy. He's a great tackler. He's a good pass rusher. And look, the touchdown scored as a linebacker. 5. University of Pacific. On 2nd and 4. Almost intercepted. Audrey McMillan, who played his college ball in Houston, in fact, first 3 years as a quarterback of the Cougars, almost snared that one for Moon. This is a seam pattern run by Webster Slaughter, defensive back right there. So far, the only thing that's working for the Houston Oilers is Lorenzo White. Receivers are not catching it. When they do, they're not hanging on. This is a very poor start for the Houston Oilers. 56-year-old Jack Pardee, who's been a head coach at almost every league, USFL, WFL, NFL, and always successful. Quiet and strong, but his patience has been tested the last couple of weeks. Moon. Merriweather gives him a pat as he goes out of bounds with a scramble first down. 11 yards for Moon, who's nearly 36-year-old legs can still pedal pretty well. And Dick, I think Warren Moon is trying to ignite his offense in some way. Receivers down the field covered, okay. I'm going to show the team that I'll put my butt on the line out there. Let me ask you, Bobby, you've got Jack Pardee, who really is quiet, almost stoic. You've got Warren Moon. He's not a shouter and a yeller, an emotional guy. Can a team, when their two main leaders are so calm and cool and collected, get fired up? I'll answer that question in a moment. Lorenzo White building a fire, and he too, you talk about quiet, he makes Pardee looked like a screaming maniac. Lorenzo White is about as quiet a soft-spoken an athlete as you'll ever find. To answer your question about can a quiet quarterback get you fired up, yes, through performance. But Warren Moon has thrown the ball so well for so many years, they know that Warren Moon is not going to be the guy to stand up in front of the team and get it done. So somewhere else, someone is going to have to step forward. But they've got new people in key positions. Bruce Matthews is another guy who is not very outgoing. Ray Childress probably is the one who's come to the front of the class in that regard this past week. Moon has a man open. It's Leonard Harris. And Harris with his 28th catch of the year. He's having his best season as an Oiler. Merriweather made the tackle close to a first down. Let me tell you what Minnesota's idea here is against the run and shoot. Tony Dungy, the defensive coordinator, they're going to drop deep, make sure the catches are underneath, and then hammer the receivers as best they possibly can. That theory, in part, comes from Bill Cowher of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've beaten Houston already twice, and that's what the Minnesota Vikings defense concept is today. Hit them and hit them hard. We heard the expression laid the leather more than once yesterday. Second down and a short few. And that'll be a
a first down catch, and there's an example. Gibbons gets about 4 yards on the play, a first down, but takes a good solid hit from veteran Carl Lee.
If I see a difference in the run and shoot from the years that I've watched over the last 2 or 3 years, you see a lot more receivers catching the ball standing still in this offense. It used to be that receivers were running across the middle, they were going down the field, and now they're sedentary when they catch it.
Well, that's a terrific point. You're absolutely right on.
It's just not working. They're not getting those receivers free through the defense.
Even the short passes are on the run, full speed going forward. Lorenzo White. Boy, that's some nice running there. Picking his way, as the runners must in this offense. There's no real go-off tackle, go-off guard. You just wait for the hole to develop, and White showed his patience, gets 11 more.
And it's man-on-man blocking up front. You've got 5 offensive linemen trying to take care of 4 defensive linemen and a linebacker. So it's really man-on-man. Great confidence in the Houston Oilers offense. And now Houston Oilers, terrific drive. First great drive they've had in a couple of weeks.
White, sensational Big Ten star at Michigan State, having his best NFL year. He's averaging over 9 a carry in this game. Whoops. Penalty against the Oilers. A motion. And that'll negate White's catch at the 20-yard line.
Look at him pile on. Look at the Vikings. I think the Vikings are saying, all right, you're going to give it to Lorenzo White to carry? Okay, fine. When he catches it, we're going to make sure there's a crowd of Vikings there.
Motion penalty. The receiver on the far right side, I believe, was not either Gibbons or Duncan.
It is the far, top of the 81. Easily identifiable when he's got it written on his shoe.
80 offense.
Now, how does our camera know to be right there to get that shot?
We can't tell you that. Those are trade secrets.
Gibbons, who studied film of the great ones, Lofton and Warfield and John Jefferson, he said, and of course was a big Mark Clayton fan, went to the University of Louisville, followed Clayton, built much the same. Second-round pick of the Oilers. He's had a fumble and now a penalty, or a penalty that cost the Oilers a gain. Whoops, that's a blown play, and Moon, like a college option quarterback, makes some yardage out of it.
Like a play from the CFL when he was playing with the Eskimos. This is intended to go to Lorenzo White, no question about it. When he turns, he thinks he's supposed to hand off. Lorenzo White steps the wrong way. And see, again, when you lose 3 of the last 4, when you're 5 and 4, mind's just not right.
He's a great athlete. In fact, he wanted to be a quarterback all his life, and college coaches didn't think he could be one. Thought he'd be a better wide receiver or defensive back, running back. 2nd and 7. Wide open is Leonard Harris, and Harris ducks out of bounds right at the sticks at the 16-yard line.
Boy, sometimes as a receiver you got to pay the price. Harris chose the sideline. All he's got to do is turn up a little bit, he makes the first down.
But that play illustrated your point earlier, Bob. The receivers crossing, catching the ball on the run in the open with a chance to move forward. That's the way it seemed to be every time. About 4 or 5 years ago when the run and shoot was making good business.
But on that particular play, yes, he's catching the ball running, but running to the sideline.
It's a yard shy of the first down. This is the end of the first quarter at the Metrodome. The Oilers trying to strike for the first points of the game. To 3rd and 1 at the 16. This is the 10th play. And it's Moon calling his own number. Boy, his helmet almost ripped right off the back of his head as Del Rio and Merriweather and 4 or 5 other purple shirts put the hit on him.
He got crunched. Goodness, he chooses the left side. There is a clear, solid hit right on the point of his helmet. Comes from Merriweather, and Del Rio, as you said, folds him over there. But there's a big, strong kid. I'm struck. Houston Oilers last night were telling us we need somebody to come up with a big play. Well, I don't think they expected the officials to make the big play today to get them turned around, and in fact, the officials have.
Well, Moon said he still has a headache from 2 weeks ago. That didn't help matters, but his effort to the 15 is good for the first down. Underneath. And Lorenzo White tackled immediately by Jack Del Rio. Del Rio, one of the Plan B selections by Minnesota. Dennis Green said because of all the first-round draft picks that were traded away, the Herschel Walker deal, and they haven't had number ones, one of the things he saw in this team, we needed those players in the mid-round, the 24, 25, 26, 27-year-olds. The Plan B represented Plan Bridge for Minnesota.
And, you know, in college, never did any covering whatsoever for USC. Was basically a pass rush linebacker. Last couple of years has learned how to be a coverage linebacker, now is much better.
Seven. There's that draw again, almost the Statue of Liberty, down to the 10-yard line, 3rd and 5. John Randall having a sensational year for the Vikings. The 270-pound tackle from Texas A&I made the stop.
It's certainly obvious what Minnesota's choice here is against the run and shoot. If Houston's going to beat us, it's going to be Lorenzo White who gets it done, either running the draw, running the sweep, or catching the ball. You're going to have to beat us with Lorenzo White. They are double covering all wide receivers of the Houston Oilers.
Wide left is Jeffries, who had only one catch last week after a great start, 100 last season. He's the man to watch here on 3rd and 5.
Audible.
Another draw. That doesn't work a lick. Beautifully read by Anthony Parker, a Plan B from Kansas City.
Dick, Minnesota came with 6 defensive backs. And the rules in the run and shoot are, if you have 5 at the line of scrimmage, you run the ball. If you have 6 in coverage, you run the ball. And Minnesota had 6 in coverage. Warren Moon came with the audible. And then Parker, the defensive back, the 6th defensive back, comes up to make the play.
So Al Del Greco comes on for a 30-yard field goal attempt. Del Greco, who has missed only 4, but one of the misses could have won the game at Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. The final seconds. 30 yards. And Houston has the lead, although the Vikings deny them the full 7. It comes with 11:52 remaining in the opening half. Warren Moon, 3 rushes, 21 yards. He's the second leading rusher behind Lorenzo White on the team. It takes nearly 9 minutes on the drive after the controversial call no safety, but possession for the Oilers on the touchback. Now Del Greco drills it toward Keith Anderson. Henderson deep enough that he'll take the knee, and the touchback of the 20, and a flag goes down. Probably a legal block. And as they sort it out, we remind you that next Saturday, don't miss the NHRA Winston Finals, racing's most prestigious titles on the line. Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock races, right down to the wire. Richest event of the Winston Drag Series, purse of over $1 million. The NHRA Winston Finals next Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern on NBC Sports. One of the things I've learned about you, Bob Trumpy, you like the racing.
Not at that speed. I like cars, old cars, but those rails now go 300 miles an hour in a quarter of a mile. Kenny Bernstein is going 300 miles an hour in a quarter of a mile in a funny car. In a Top Fuel dragster. Yeah, I know that language.
And on the field now, number 25 of the Oilers, Bubba McDowell. He likes to drag race. He said he's got a car. In 12 seconds he can go a quarter mile in 12 seconds?
Yeah, quarter mile in 12 seconds, about 110, 11 miles an hour. That's good for a pro stocker, or I should say a street stock car.
Sounds like our producer, John Feratz, is getting us to practice on Saturdays before the games.
In fact, I think my Christmas gift to you is going to be one of those 5-point harnesses that the drivers wear in Indy.
Illegal block on a receiving team after possession was gained in the end zone. Penalized 10 yards from a 20-yard line, first down.
So Minnesota begins from the 10, trailing 3-0, 11:46 left in this first half.
Now, what would a kickoff be without an illegal block in the back? And there it's done clearly. That was
the rookie Ed McDaniel from Clemson. yards for Craig, who came to Minnesota from San Francisco, as we go to New York.
And then quickly shift over to Cleveland, where they're playing football as it should be played, outside in cold conditions. Sean Jefferson makes the catch of the 26-yarder from Stan Humphries, and San Diego grabs a 7-0 lead. The touchdown came in the first. They've moved to the second with the Chargers in front by a TD. Let's go back to climate-controlled Minneapolis.
All right, Bob. Easy for us to sit in studios and say it should be played outside. Going there is Childress and Company, and that's Jeff Alm who's in for the injured Doug Smith, who makes the play, the former Notre Damer. And boy, the Irish proud today after coming from behind final seconds against Penn State. And we understand Lou Holtz will be a special in-studio guest for an interview today. Oh, not in studio, but will be a special guest today on NFL Live at halftime.
On the Gold Dome from South Bend.
Third down and 3. There goes a flag, and Jerry Gray was playing rodeo, NFL rodeo. He was riding through the receiver.
Yeah, actually, I kind of feel bad for Jerry Gray, because if that ball is thrown on the normal time, he's there to knock it away without the penalty. But Gannon waited so long. Now watch how far.
Pass interference. Number 21
See,
on the
he
defense.
waits, he hesitates. Gannon waited so long before he threw that.
Look at Chris Carter. He was a sensational basketball player in high school. That's what you call getting position. Getting position, posting up, and Gray just couldn't get to the ball without committing the foul.
So far, Minnesota Vikings offense displayed little here in this first quarter. Nothing consistent yet.
The ex-Eagle Carter out to the right. Anthony Carter, not related, to the left. Gannon to the tight end Tice. A rare throw to Mike Tice, only his third catch this year, and Bubba McDowell was not fooled.
There certainly has been the accusation that the scheme of the Houston Oilers defense not a good one. They don't like what Jim Eddy's calling, but there's been no real problem with this defense over the last several weeks. I mean, players are probably complaining only because they're not winning. There he's going with the hand signals to Al Smith, the middle linebacker.
He's going to be your charades partner, isn't he, in the National NFL Charade Contest? 3 for 7 for Gannon. And roll off play action. And sack number 2. And this one goes to William Fuller, the Fuller rush man. Has his 6th of the year.
Sean Jones gets the first. Fuller the second, both coming from the outside. This is a little roll, the fake to Roger Craig. And then Fuller keeps his containment. You see inside John Tice, 87. Mike Tice. I know the
John's
brothers.
at New Orleans.
Yes, he is. You can't have Tice blocking William Fuller. He'll push him all over the field.
We saw last year 15 sacks to lead the AFC in time with Reggie White of the Eagles, just 2 behind the NFL leader Pat Swilling. Minnesota thus far a net 6 yards passing in the game. Pressure again from the backside, and Gannon gets it away to Joe Johnson. First down. Yards, and Gannon just gets it away.
And Houston came with the entire defensive roster on this snap. You can see them all up front there. I mean, nobody's backing off. They definitely want to get to Rich Gannon. Although Lamar Lathan backs off. Pressure from the outside.
Steve Jackson, extra defensive back, was the man coming up the backside, and meanwhile 89 Johnson has his 9th catch of the year, a big one. First down, and that'll make his dad, who's celebrating his birthday, happy. He said, I want to make the catches and talk about dad. Roger Craig. Craig, the veteran, prancing in his classic style for 9.
Always been I think the main characteristic of Roger Craig, the high knee action. And nothing fancy about this, but at the line of scrimmage, You can't tackle Roger Craig the way you tackle other running backs because he'll pull out of just a one-leg tackle with those high knees.
16 yards for Craig. Brings up almost a 3 down, 2nd and 1. And to Steve Jordan. Jordan, the 6th consecutive Pro Bowls. Always a lot of catches. He's the all-time Minnesota career leader in receptions, but not getting as many chances in this offense, but he isn't complaining.
There is a flag down, but he runs the in pattern. He's got Lamar Lathan, 57 in coverage, one of the superb athletes in this league.
The Brown Bruin, but it's called back.
Prior to the snap, we got a false start on the entire offensive line. 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Well, that negates a big gain on 2nd and 1.
Well, this shouldn't be hard to pick up if it's the entire offensive. Yeah, they got to be set for a full second when you go from that pre-shift to hand down on the ground. They call it on the offensive line. That's actually on the quarterback. He's the one who dictates that they're not set long enough.
Dennis Green can't be happy with 40 yards in Minnesota penalties already. 2nd and 6. Chris Carter. Oh, some nice running and threading his way through 3 or 4 tackles and a 1st down at the 50.
Boy, he did a lot of work there. I'm not sure he gained an inch with all of the effort. But in the tandem situation there, Carter finds the dead spot. He goes straight up the field here. Let's see, he's at the... does he make any more yards? Well, he may have lost a half a yard with all of that activity. But, you know, trying to inspire his teammates, get that yard, break a tackle.
Biggest fan, of course, is brother Butch Carter, who played in the NBA 6 years, Indiana University star. Now with Milwaukee Bucks as a coach. Gannon. Oh, should have been intercepted by Chris Dishman. And that's another element that has plagued this Houston defense. They had their hands on 4 balls last week against Cleveland. They can't seem to pull in the turnover.
Sometimes, I guess, as a coach, if you're Jim Elliott, you consider Velcro on those mitts that they're wearing. I mean, gee, Dishman, a guy who last year had a lot of interceptions.
They had 6 last year and was a starter in the Pro Bowl. This is 9 games last year, almost twice as many takeaways as this year. Terry Allen on 2nd and 10. Picks up almost 8 yards behind Gary Zimmerman.
See this multiple offense. Steve Jordan, 83, just as a backside blocker. Zimmerman on the pull. There's something very familiar about that play. The Washington Redskins.
Counter to
series. A lot of ways to run it when you have a tight end in the backfield.
Trailing 3-0. Under 6 minutes left in the half. A big 3rd and 4 for Minnesota. And the strip, and Houston has taken it away. Chris Carter had it, and it was just pilfered by number 21, the veteran Jerry Gray.
Boy, he did. That was petty larceny. I mean, like stealing a pocketbook. He is right there on Carter's shoulder. And Carter's got it, and then Jerry Gray makes a big play for a team that needs a big play. Jim Eddy obviously likes it.
As Carter was trying to move upfield, and Gray just used that body momentum of Carter to pull it away. From the 40, Houston leading 2-0. Moon, deep. Whoa. Oh, lucky that wasn't intercepted. Intended for Ernest Givens. And downfield with a chance for the intercept was Vincey Glenn.
Dick, that was horribly overthrown by Warren Moon. Normally one of the most accurate throwers that the NFL has ever seen in any given season.
Man who has thrown now for over 51,000 yards as a professional, counting his 6 years up in the CFL with Eskimo, for the Eskimos of Edmonton. because that cornerback, Anthony Parker, was coming up fast.
But I think that appeared to me to be a conscious effort on Warren Moon before the snap. I got to get the ball to Haywood Jeffries. Haywood Jeffries is one of the inspirational leaders of this team. Last week he had just one catch. So far today, none. Warren knows that for us to at least get the ball deep, we got to threaten with Jeffries short, and he probably should not have made that attempt.
Jeffries second in the league with 59 coming into this weekend, 2 behind Sterling Sharp of Green Bay. And that'll be a first down to Jeffries, his first catch, and it's at the Minnesota 48-yard line. Good hit by Audrey McMillan.
Finally. They had a 4-1-6 defense. Jeffries at the top of the screen just runs the hitch. The defense goes off against him. And he finally makes the catch. Now, when he gets up, he promised his teammates he was going to try to inspire them on the sideline. He was looking for high fives over there from his teammates.
Well, he had a big week. He was down in Greensboro with Page High School. His teacher, the one he nominated, 10th grade biology teacher, Stephanie Henderson, won this NFL Teacher of the Month for November. Lots of tears. 1,000 kids down there inspired by a great moment. Moon underneath for another first down, this time to Leonard Harris. Harris at the 27, 28-yard line.
The Oilers offense here, this run and shoot, starting to show some rhythm. And if there's one secret ingredient to this offense, it's the rhythm there. A receiver catches the ball running, is able to pick up good yardage. You mentioned Haywood Jeffries and the tears. I was struck by, he said, I didn't want to cry, but I did. Whoever wants to cry in those situations.
His teacher was crying. He said, I looked at my dad. He was crying, then I lost it.
Yep.
But all through smiles. Houston trying to make things happy for Oilers fans. And Moon may get 5 yards on a free play here and goes for the strike to Gibbons. Barely a 5-yard penalty against Minnesota. Looked to be Henry Thomas jumping offside.
Dick, a lot of positives here now for Houston. Good pass protection, and receivers are getting through this defense.
Offsides, number 97 defense, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
You can see the hard count. That draws Noga and Thomas into the neutral zone. And Warren Moon, I think, displaying a little more confidence in his offensive line, taking the ball from under center. Normally in the run and shoot, that's the way the true run and shoot is run. He likes the shotgun, but he's up underneath the center so that Lorenzo White is more of a threat in the offense.
And that line, that's a good graphic illustrating how well Moon has been protected all year and today against a very tough pass rush. There's the first sack. John Randall. I don't believe there'll be a penalty because the play had already been whistled dead in the grasp and control. John Randall, his sack makes it 7.5 for the year. He had 9.5 to lead the Vikings last year.
He plays the defensive tackle. He's on Mike Munchak, and just a bull rush gets him right to Warren Moon. Hey, why not try it? I mean, I guess he's figuring I'm already in the grasp. Why not try to get rid of the ball? Look at that bull rush by 93. This is not a particularly big defensive line, but this is one of the game's most active defensive lines.
Second down and 12, a 7-yard loss on the play.
Ooh.
Fumble, recovered, and the Vikings are going to do it again. Touchdown, Anthony Parker. The 5th touchdown by the defense in the last 3 games. Carlos Jenkins, the linebacker, number 51, with a vicious blindside hit on Moon, dislodged the ball, and Parker runs it for the score. 58 yards.
Parker's getting all the credit. Jenkins made the play, the linebacker. Totally untouched, Dick. Look at Warren Moon. That headache just got worse. Right between the shoulder blades. Jenkins untouched.
Look at the power of this hit by a man that weighs 220 pounds.
Now, when you don't block them, Dick, and they can build up 7 yards of momentum, they will. He's lucky the only thing dislodged was the football. They can dislocate bones.
Anthony Parker, who played in Indianapolis and Kansas City, a Plan B pick. He did not have an interception until this year. I'm certain that's his first professional touchdown.
You can see with just 5 offensive linemen up there in the run and shoot, no tight ends. When a blitz comes, and they don't blitz often, I mean, they're trying to consume as many of these guys here as they can. This is the guy who is untouched. Pass protection rules are you block inside first. Bam! Right in the chest.
And for the defensive coordinator, Tony Dungy, who learned as a Super Bowl assistant under Chuck Noll at Pittsburgh, that is a special defensive alignment for this game. Well, that makes them feel good when they put something in and it pays off in a touchdown. Moon trying to clear the cobwebs. Minnesota leads 7-3.
Starter. Look for the stars and you'll find Starter. By Pringles. So fresh, once you pop, you can't stop. By Black & Decker, the source of powerful gift ideas. And by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.
It's a constant call, a coaching cliche. Give us the big play. And Houston came in with that cry. Well, after Jerry Gray with the interception, the steal of the pass to stop Minnesota, then the big play the other way as Warren Moon tastes a vicious hit, blindside from Carlos Jenkins. Apparently, he has all his faculties, so that's good news for Houston. But Minnesota takes the lead 7-3. Their 6th defensive touchdown this year. Coleman has no chance to return. Houston will start at the 20, and Warren Moon straps it on, goes back to work. Front 4 +1, Carlos Jenkins to deck Moon and create the fumble and a touchdown. And Carlos Jenkins using a defensive scheme that did look familiar, Bob Coffey.
Did it ever? Too familiar for Warren Moon.
Trailing 7-3, 3 minutes, 20 seconds left in the half. Lorenzo White tripped up, gains only a yard. I believe the play was whistled dead back at the 20. Let's go back to 2 weeks ago.
Now, understand the connection. Tony Dungy and Bill Cowher were together in Kansas City. Now, Bill Cowher, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There you see Woodson on the corner blitz make the hit. Now this is the outside linebacker. Same concept, different personnel, identical result. If the one 2 weeks ago gave him a headache, I guarantee you, so did that one.
And a heartache for the hopes of Houston trying to build some momentum with a slender 3-0 lead and on a drive. Jenkins was coming again. Intercepted. Felix Wright, wouldn't you know it? Wright out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Chris Dolman putting pressure on Moon. Felix Wright has intercepted Warren Moon 8 consecutive years going back to their days in the Canadian Football League.
This one is tipped. Wright 22 playing the center field. The ball originally off the hands of Webster Slaughter. Not had a good first half here. And Felix Wright, he dances out of bounds. Yes, sir. Got him as an Eskimo. Got him as a Houston Oilers when Felix played for the Cleveland Browns, and now the string stays alive in Minnesota.
29th of his career, and a third of those against Moon. Gannon. Anthony Carter was the intended receiver. There's Wright, who, after he graduated from Drake, no one thought he could play in the pros, was teaching school for a year, and then went to one of those gang tryout 700 with the Oilers, in fact, and it was good enough that the CFL liked him, and he went up north and played, then finally signed by Cleveland, and solid player.
Has been for a long time, always played that same spot. The defense is out. Their defense is outscored
more points than the entire Seattle team. Goodness.
I hope Seattle can't hear us.
Gary Allen. A yard or two to the 25-yard line as the Oilers try to at least deny a touchdown. In comes Lee Williams, the former San Diego Charger, used on passing downs. Good pass rush as the clock ticks down to the 2-minute timeout. 7-3, the Vikings in front. At halftime, a man familiar in these areas, Lou Holtz, was at the University of Minnesota, reviving the Golden Gopher program, and on his way to Notre Dame, and that was one of those classic days at South Bend. Come from behind win, final seconds, great catch, Tony Brooks. I'm sure Coach Holtz still on a high, and we'll get his reaction. His team bidding for a major bowl. 3rd down and 9 at the 25. Gannon, lots of time. Boy, he is a Tarkenton-like scrambler. And now throws to an open man. Joe Johnson was open, and the touchdown saved by Chris Dishman. Oh, he's kissing to the crowd and kissing his own good fortune. He was about to look at 6 points.
Let's see, wasn't Tarkenton's number here 10? Maybe they should give him 10. I don't know. That looked an awful lot like Francis Tarkenton, you know, turning his back to the defense and never giving up on the pass play.
Well, that looked like 6. The pass died a little bit. And now the field goal try by Fuad Reveiz. He's 9 for 12 this year. This one from 42 yards. Can't hit it center better than that. The Felix Wright interception leads to a field goal for Dennis Green's Vikings, who now have a 7-point lead. 2-hour eyewitness video. It starts at 7:06 Central. Incredible footage of a family trapped on a lake in the path of a raging tornado, a prison riot videotaped from the inside, and then Phil Donahue celebrates 25 grand years of television with a 2-hour primetime star-studded special. Donahue, happy 25th anniversary, Phil. Tonight at 9, 8 Central here on NBC. And the Oilers and Jack Hardy trailing 10-3, despite the fact they have limited Minnesota to 74 total yards. They've outgained the Vikings. They've out-first down them. But that defense scoring again. There are the numbers. Houston with a better attack, but... And for Minnesota, the touchdown by Anthony Parker means 3 straight games they've scored on defense. Even the Purple People Eaters didn't do that. Page and Eller and Larson, Marshall.
Those guys played outdoors, though. Different set of circumstances indoors.
No chance to return for Spencer Tillman. And Warren Moon will start at the 20-yard line, and gives us a chance to look ahead 1 week as we approach Thanksgiving. The week before, it'll be Houston at Miami. Will the Oilers be 5-5 or 6-4? It'll be Miami and Buffalo tomorrow night. Cleveland will travel up here to Minnesota. The Browns will show that defense to the Vikings. Indianapolis at Pittsburgh. Denver, Los Angeles in our doubleheader. Most of you will see that game from the Coliseum. While there's a timeout at the moment on the field, let's just follow Greg Manusky, the former Washington Redskin, a Plan B pickup. That's what it's like to get your pay on the special teams.
He was out halfway down. Hit on one side by Rick Graff.
That Joe Bowden, who is a rookie from Oklahoma, that's a couple of big sticks he's put on the Vikings today.
Speaking of eyewitness video, he'll have to watch the film to see what happened to him there. He has no idea. How'd I get to this sideline?
Other scores, the Steelers trying to maintain their hold on the Central Division. San Diego, one of the better defenses in the league, matched against one that may be as good as any, the Cleveland Browns. In the snow and cold in Cleveland, the Jets now open a 10-0 lead against the Bengals. Phoenix is playing well. Atlanta with a field goal advantage. Will New England win a game? Boom, screens. Right. 10 yards, and it appears to be right on the 30-yard line, first down.
Very good call. Recognition of a new defense. 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs by Minnesota. Screen is an excellent call there.
Boom. Underneath, good move by Ernest Gibbons, who dives for the completion of an 11-yard effort, and another first down. Timeout, Houston.
Dick, right in the same area.
No, they're not calling time.
I thought they did.
1 minute to go. Wright tackled after just a short gain of 3 by Jack Del Rio. And now the timeout.
And Dick, I was going to comment that it almost looks like Warren Moon is avoiding Webster Slaughter. The ball has bounced through his hands a couple of times here in the first half, and he's made other choices, thrown underneath Webster Slaughter to Lorenzo White. Now, I'm not speaking poorly of Webster Slaughter. This is a very difficult offense to learn. And when
especially from the slot position,
absolutely.
It's tougher than the wideout.
When Drew Hill was in Houston when they put the run and shoot in, so he grew up with the offense. This is one of the most difficult offenses to adjust to as a receiver in that spot. He has no catches here now, and
he doesn't like the fact he's on the sidelines either here as they go for a possible late score in the first half.
Yeah, they're taking him out and putting someone else in who knows the offense a little better.
It's a read offense. You come off the line of scrimmage and you have to read the defense and be reading it the same way that Warren Moon is so that you go to the right spot.
That's the point. There's one of 5 things you do on every pattern, and the quarterback and the receiver must both think the same way.
2nd and 7. Houston still with 2 timeouts. It's Leonard Harris who has replaced Slaughter. Moon dumps it off. And it's Lorenzo Wright pulling his way to a first down at the Minnesota 48-yard line, but the clock is running, 46-45, and they don't use a timeout. Moon gets them up there in a hurry. Of course, they're running suits a hurry-up offense anyway. Moon drills that one, and Gibbons has a first down at the 31-yard line, and they'll spend their second timeout here to stop the clock 31 seconds to the half. So Moon has done a good job driving this team in a hurry from the 20 to the Minnesota 30-yard line as they make an effort for Jack Pardee's team to get the equalizer.
Well, in a happened game, you see so many of these defenses go to this prevent. A prevent sometimes is personnel, but most of the times it's a mindset. And when you tell your defense, all right, play deep, let them catch the ball underneath, they just drive down the field and down the field and down the field. There's Tony Dungy. He knows the dangers of the prevent.
Gives me a chance to complete that Dennis Green story. Green under Bill Walsh, man involved 3 Super Bowl rings. Then he goes for an offensive coordinator. He goes to the Washington Redskins for Jack Burns. Joe Gibbs, Super Bowl champions. Defensive coordinator, Tony Dungy, Super Bowl champions, Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's really surrounded as his leaders, his teachers, as he calls them, as Bill Walsh always said. His assistant coaches are his teachers. That's all they have to do is flash those rings. That's the whole idea of this.
There's a bunch of them, too.
Moon, 5 for 5 on this drive. No flag. Moon gets away. Chris Dolman. And scrambles out of bounds with a first down. What a big play. Chris Dolman had him for a sack, one of the leaders in the league with 9.5. And Warren Moon was able to shrug off the hit and pick up 14 yards.
Dolman doesn't miss many either. He's at the top of the screen. You see, he jumps a little early, and then he's inside on the rush. Whoa, Warren does a great job of avoiding that tackle.
And then the presence to find a spot to run and gain. He's rushed for 35 yards today.
Doing whatever it takes to try to ignite his offense here.
And save the timeout by getting out of bounds. Houston, 1 timeout left. Trailing 10-3. Wide open is Jeffries, and the biggest of the Houston receivers is hit at the 7-yard line, and a timeout called with 14 seconds remaining, and Jeffries called it.
Well, again, Jeffries trying to make a little more out of the play than he could expect. If he goes to the sideline and stops the clock, Houston's in a lot better shape. This was a strange pattern here. It's just down the field, and coverage is almost dropped. And then Moon, you could see at the bottom of the screen. I wish he'd have gone out of bounds. That would have been so much easier. But he's trying to make a big play. You can't fault him for that.
Man at 6'2" with a basketball build, and he was an outstanding basketball player. Was Jeffries, as you look at Warren Moon. Jeffries, in fact, played at that Greensboro High School. His teammate was Danny Manning, now starring with the LA Clippers.
The best story about Haywood Jeffries, though, being the 15th of 17 children. We're talking about a different individual. This guy probably wore hand-me-downs until he signed his first pro contract.
We're going to see Houston on Thanksgiving Day. He'll have as big a crowd rooting for him around the table as anyone.
Yep.
What a drive by Warren Moon. Can he get the final 6 yards and a tying touchdown? 14 seconds left. No timeouts. Touchdown to Ernest Givens. And again, it was Moon using his footwork. He had to threaten the defense by starting the run. That froze Minnesota at least for an instant and allowed Givens to make the tiptoe touchdown reception and a chance to tie.
Dick, great pass protection by those up front fellas. They really gave Warren Moon all the time and also the nice little alley so he could throw the ball for the touchdown.
That was textbook Moon stuff. 7 for 7 on the drive, 66 of the 80 yards in a minute and a half for Warren Moon. And now for the extra point, Del Greco ties it at 10. And then you throw in the 66 passing and the fact that Moon rushed for the other 14. So the Oilers are, well, Minnesota moonstruck on that drive.
From behind the defense, watch the pass protection first. Minnesota runs a stunt, beautifully picked up. Lots of time. Moon steps up. Givens at the end zone. Both feet in. Nice catch. Very patient job by Warren Moon.
What do you call that? There's a name for that.
The electric glide.
I knew you'd know that.
I can't do it.
Well, you're still trying the funky chicken, but
here is Givens right here. You'll see he runs out and around, so this is certainly an alternate route, not the primary receiver, but the pass protection allows Givens the time to get wide open. Coverage dropped. He makes sure both feet are in. 6 points.
Officially 5 yards on the reception, and for Givens, his 9th touchdown of this season. But that is a sensational drive engineered by Warren Moon, almost single-handedly accounting for the 80 yards, either with his arm or his feet.
And Dick, didn't it look easy? When the run and shoot functioned well last year, that's the way they look. 10, 10, 10. 3 10s.
It's all on the house at halftime.
I'm not superstitious.
Moon admits to not being a rah-rah guy. I'll lead you with my ability and my intelligence. You other guys are going to have to scream and yell. But give me some support and I'll get the job done. So that's a very big score for Houston.
A little smile there from Warren Moon.
A huge score for Houston. Del Greco trying to deny. Oh, that ball muffed! And Houston had its hands on it for a moment with 8 seconds left. And if they recovered, they're in field goal range. A Houston player had that ball on the rebound, but couldn't hold on. And the Vikings avoid a disastrous mistake. Dennis Green going to be happy to get his team into the locker room.
Watch Scott Adams, number 72. He goes back there and tries to be a running back. He will be reminded by head coach Danny Green, son, you got those things on your hand to block people, not to catch the football. You let the little guys catch it, you just block them.
56, Scott Kozak was the Oiler downfield that actually had the ball rebounding into his chest. And now Gannon takes the kneel down, and that'll be the end of the first half. A half that featured a vicious hit on Warren Moon that led to a fumble and a touchdown, and then Moon, showing fully recovered, is able to march his team 80 yards at the end of the half for a 10-10 tie. Stay tuned. Right now, we're going to go to New York and Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
All right, halftime at the Metrodome, tied at 10. This is the former Oiler Alan Pinkett. OJ will be back later in the day. Will McDonough here, of course. We'll hear from them in just a moment. To the scoreboard, the Vikes and the Oilers even up at 10. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. The Vikings coming in at 7-2, and the Oilers, losers of 3 of their last 4, are 5-4 overall. And their execution problems continued early. Haywood Jeffries unable to hang on to this one from Moon, and they had to punt. A bit later, Ernest Givens will catch this pass, but when he's hit by Carl Lee, he fumbles, and Jack Del Rio recovers to snuff out the Oiler threat. Now the Vikings punt still in the first quarter, and Harry Newsom's kick is mishandled by Webster Slaughter at his own 10-yard line. And they're going to rule this a touchback, although that was controversial. Looked like it was helped out to prevent the Vikings from coming up with the easy touchdown. Now on to the second quarter. The next time the Oilers had the ball, they're driving, but they have to settle for a field goal as Lorenzo White is stopped for a 2-yard loss on the third down play. Moon obviously frustrated. His fumble had been returned by Anthony Parker for a 58-yard touchdown. That is the 5th touchdown scored directly off the defense by the Vikings in the last 2.5 games. They had 2 in each of the preceding 2 games coming in and 1 in the first half today. However, Moon was able to cap that late drive, completing 7 of 7 on the march and tossing the 5-yarder to Ernest Givens to tie it up at 10 just before halftime. How about this one at Arrowhead? Kansas City at 5-4, leading the 6-3 Redskins 28-0 at the half. Christian Okoye has 2 rushing touchdowns, and Dave Craig a 44-yard touchdown pass to Tim Barnett. Philadelphia and Green Bay have gone to the third quarter at County Stadium in Milwaukee. The Pack leads here 14-3. Let's take a quick check on the stats of Randall Cunningham. He was 9 of 17 in the first half for 59 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, but can't get them in the end zone, at least not yet, as he continues to have his troubles, down by 11 points. Pittsburgh and Detroit at Three Rivers, halftime there, and the Steelers with the 10-7 lead in the snow. San Diego and Cleveland on a 26-yard throw from Stan Humphries to Sean Jefferson. The Chargers, who have played very well of late, leading the Browns at the half, 7-3, snow falling there as well. The Jets and the Bengals at the Meadowlands, and the Jets at 2-7, leading the 4-5 Cincinnati club, 10-0 there at the half. Phoenix and Atlanta are both 3-6. The Cardinals have won 2 in a row, and on the road they have managed a 10-all halftime tie at the Georgia Dome. And New England and Indianapolis just before halftime tied at 14. Pats, of course, 0-9, and forced to go with young Scott Zolak out of Maryland with Tom Hodson and Hugh Millen both hurt. They fall behind 7-0 when Clarence Verdun fields the punt from Sean McCarthy and brings it back 53 yards for the TD. 7-0 Colts at the Hoosier Dome. They're looking to get to 500. They begin the day at 4-5. But Jeff George's first pass attempt of the day is intercepted by Pats cornerback David Poole. He brings it back 41 yards to even the score at 7-7. Still in the first quarter, rookie running back Kevin Turner coughs this one up, and it's recovered by the Colts. That's Zolak's dad, Paul, who was Joe Montana's high school coach, a bit upset by that. It led to a touchdown, put them behind 14-7, but then Zolak tied it with his 2-yarder to Ben Coates, and the extra point evened things at 14-14, and they are just before halftime. Well, Alan, let's talk about the Oilers and the Vikings. Houston was able to tie it with the late drive, and Moon was nifty on that march, but as you saw from the highlight package, a number of mistakes that have become pretty much typical the last few weeks.
You're right, and the receivers, they feel that the weight of the offense is on their shoulders, so every time they drop a ball, it's pretty much magnified. So what these guys try to do is just come back the next time and make up for it, and I think they've done that in this game, but there's so much pressure on these guys to catch it right now because there's so much of an emphasis put on the drop balls, and they're just basically beating themselves or getting in a good position to catch the ball and make a play. And I think they're probably worried about making the big play instead of catching the ball first. But the beauty of the offense for these receivers is they have a chance to redeem themselves.
You think the league has caught up with the run and shoot a little bit?
I think that a lot of people have the scheme down. Teams that were successful beating the Oilers, all the teams around the league study those films, and they're all looking for the right mix or the right thing to do to stop the run and shoot. And the fallacy is that it's a wide open offense, but in actuality there are only a few things you can do out of that offense with one back and four receivers. So it is, I think, an easy offense to stop, but it's easy to stop when the receivers drop the balls and they make a lot of mistakes.
Well,
let's give Minnesota some credit. It's the fastest defense in the league, and they do intimidate you.
all right, time for us to take a break. When we come back, Penn State and Notre Dame. We look back to last week and yesterday we'll look back to. Just yesterday. It wasn't a week ago. It may seem like a week, just 24 hours. That's after this from your local station.
Tying touchdown in the final minutes of the first half. The Keystone Light halftime statistics. Houston leading in most of the columns, and in total yards 202 to Minnesota's 74. The takeaways key to Minnesota, again, their score coming on the fumble return for a touchdown by Anthony Parker off the hit by Carlos Jenkins. And some of you may argue, even at halftime, well, it's 10-10, but Jack Party's team shouldn't have gotten the field goal. Minnesota should have a safety and should have the lead. We've talked with Jerry Seaman, the head of the NFL officials, and the call was absolutely correct, and we'll explain it to you as we see it replayed as soon as we have a moment. So it's 10-all. Vikings trying to go 8-2. The Oilers endeavoring to avoid a 5-5 start of this season as Claude Reves will kick it off to Houston. Tillman and Coleman are deep. Spencer Tillman, former Oklahoma Sooner, is at the 15. And to the 20 as a flag goes down.
Sure. Of course.
Well, they work out the penalty problem. Here is the play. Webster Slaughter, as soon as he touches it here, knowing what happens, if Minnesota had recovered the ball at any time, it would have been at the spot first touched by Slaughter, because the impetus is by the kicking team. That's what forced the ball into the end zone. So when Dishman made that play, it was a very heady one. He could have run for 10 minutes in the end zone and thrown it out, and it still would not have been a safety.
We've got offsetting fouls, offsides on a kicking team, number 54, holding on a receiving team, number 93, re-kick.
So the point is that the kick momentum offered by the kicking team, that is a muff, not a fumble, a muff. And so as long as the ball was in the end zone and no Oiler tried to run it out, once you run it out and get to the 1 yard line, then it's a different ball game. As long as the ball was in the end zone, it could not have been a touchdown if recovered by Minnesota. It would have gone back out to where Webster Slaughter first touched it. And in the case of Dishman and the Oilers, as long as they didn't come out of there, they weren't going to be hit with a safety or a touchdown.
Cliff note form, Minnesota could not score points on that play no matter what happened. They could not score points.
So we thought and argued along with Dennis Green, but the officials, as is so often the case, as you know, Bob Trumpy, right on it with the right call.
Boy, do we know that. There is no need for any added technology to what the officials do on the field.
See, we could have wasted time looking at that with instant replay when they had the right call all the time. So they re-kick it. And on that kicking unit from Minnesota is, or checked out for the Oilers, is Bucky Richardson, their third-string quarterback from Texas A&M, who's become a special teamer. This one won't be returned by Tillman. Moon comes on, touchback at the 20.
Well, Dick, now setting up for the second half. That last drive by the Houston Oilers into the first half, a thing of beauty and a great momentum builder now for Houston to begin this second half. The numbers in that drive were very impressive. Warren threw it to a lot of different receivers, also ran very well. And for Minnesota, they've not done much offensively. Look at the numbers for Gannon. Not good. Run the ball well at all.
Houston has done well on first down, and that's critical to the run and shoot, obviously, with any offense. But that's better than 2-1 to Minnesota.
Look, I do see Webster Slaughter back in the lineup here for Houston.
Triple right, and then they run White to the weak side, and he has 9 yards. Lorenzo Wright, the leading rusher in the first half. The second best rusher of the first half was Warren Moon, who outrushed any of the Minnesota backs.
And that's certainly not the design of the run and shoot. The run part of the run and shoot is the responsibility of the running backs, not the quarterback. But I think when you're 5-4 playing on the road, struggling, I mean, this Houston football team was worrying about at the beginning of the season, home field advantage through the playoffs, not trying to catch Pittsburgh in the Central Division halfway through the season.
And Moon again. Whether that was a broken play, it appeared to be or not, he has the first down at the 32. Let me go back to the home field. Everyone fighting for home field, and yet the Oilers told us almost to a man yesterday they were glad this game was not at home. They were happy to be on the road.
Yes, for the first of 3 weeks on the road, they got tired of the booing and answering all of the criticism. It was not comfortable playing in the Astrodome, and they thought it was very healthy. One, when you're on the road, generally the team is closer. You're all in the same hotel. There's meetings as one Oiler fan from Houston made it from dome to dome.
On first down, Moon, a quick toss to Ernest Gibbons, the touchdown maker to the 41-yard line, a pick up of 8 yards. And here's a startling statistic on Warren Moon. 39 yards rushing. The Vikings have a total of 40.
Oh, so rare is that. In a lot of years since Warren Moon thought seriously about running for 39 yards.
Second down and 1 for Houston.
Pass protection has been awful good for Warren Moon, except that one play that resulted in the turnover.
Minnesota primarily going with that 4-man rush as they are now. Noga, Thomas, Randall, and Dolman. And White slams for the first down out to the 45-yard line before Todd Scott can make the tackle.
It does appear, and of course, the Houston Oilers run and shoot this year made a bigger commitment to running the ball on a more regular basis. We had Alan Pinkett on NFL Live at halftime. He was the leading rusher for the Houston Oilers last year. Lorenzo White held out. Pinkett had such a great start to the season that Lorenzo White did not start a game for the Houston Oilers last year. And he was approaching 1,000 yards as a rusher in 1992. Big addition to this run and shoot.
Down from the 46. Whoa! Randall again, his second sack. Noga was there as well, and Thomas, and John Randall shot from a cannon, took the inside move and a direct line on Warren Moon.
Well, he goes around Dawson, and sometimes these big guys use power. Here's Randall just outside Dawson. There's nothing to this except extreme strength, Dick. The swim move, the right arm underneath the pass protection, and a late hit by Thomas. Normally the official says, before that second guy gets here, we're going to rule it a sack.
May not have been a whistle. Dolman got there too and will get half a sack on 2nd and 20.
It's
touchdown in the final minutes of the first half. The Keystone Light halftime statistics. Houston leading in most of the columns, and in total yards 202 to Minnesota's 74. The takeaways key to Minnesota, again, their score coming on the fumble return for a touchdown by Anthony Parker off the hit by Carlos Jenkins. And some of you may argue, even at halftime, well, it's 10-10, but Jack Party's team shouldn't have gotten the field goal. Minnesota should have a safety and should have the lead. We've talked with Jerry Seaman, the head of the NFL officials, and the call was absolutely correct, and we'll explain it to you as we see it replayed as soon as we have a moment. So it's 10-all. Vikings trying to go 8-2. The Oilers endeavoring to avoid a 5-5 start of this season as Claude Reves will kick it off to Houston. Tillman and Coleman are deep. Spencer Tillman, former Oklahoma Sooner, is at the 15. And to the 20 as a flag goes down.
sure. Of course.
While they work out the penalty problem, here is the play. Webster Slaughter, as soon as he touches it here, knowing what happens, if Minnesota had recovered the ball at any time, it would have been at the spot first touched by Slaughter, because the impetus is by the kicking team. That's what force the ball into the end zone. So when Dishman made that play, it was a very heady one. He could have run for 10 minutes in the end zone and thrown it out, and it still would not have been a safety.
We've got offsetting fouls, offsides on a kicking team, number 54, holding on a receiving team, number 93, re-kick.
So the point is that the kick momentum offered by the kicking team, that is a muff, not a fumble, a muff. And so as long as the ball was in the end zone and no Oiler tried to run it out, once you run it out and get to the 1 yard line, then it's a different ball game. As long as the ball was in the end zone, it could not have been a touchdown if recovered by Minnesota. It would have gone back out to where Webster Slaughter first touched it. And in the case of Dishman and the Oilers, as long as they didn't come out of there, they weren't going to be hit with a safety or a touchdown.
Cliff note form, Minnesota could not score points on that play no matter what happened. They could not score points.
So we thought and argued along with Dennis Green, but the officials, as is so often the case, as you know, Bob Trumpy, right
Yes,
on it with
sir.
the right call.
Boy, do we know that. There is no need for any added technology to what the officials do on the field.
See, we could have wasted time looking at that with instant replay when they had the right call all the time. So they re-kick it. And on that kicking unit from Minnesota is, or check that for the Oilers, is Bucky Richardson, their third-string quarterback from Texas A&M, who's become a special teamer. This one won't be returned by Tillman. Moon comes on, touchback at the 20.
Wow, Dick, now setting up for the second half. That last drive by the Houston Oilers into the first half, a thing of beauty and a great momentum builder now for Houston to begin the second half. The numbers in that drive were very impressive. Warren threw it to a lot of different receivers, also ran very well. And for Minnesota, they've not done much offensively. Look at the numbers for Gannon. Not good. Run the ball well at all.
Houston has done well on first down, and that's critical to the run and shoot, obviously, or any offense. But that's better than 2-1 to Minnesota.
Look, I do see Webster Slaughter back in the lineup here for Houston.
Triple right, and then they run White to the weak side, and he has 9 yards. Lorenzo Wright, the leading rusher in the first half. The second best rusher of the first half was Warren Moon, who outrushed any of the Minnesota backs.
And that's certainly not the design of the run and shoot. The run part of the run and shoot is the responsibility of the running backs, not the quarterback. But I think when you're 5-4 playing on the road, struggling, I mean, this Houston football team was worrying about at the beginning of the season, home field advantage through the playoffs, not trying to catch Pittsburgh in the Central Division halfway through the season.
And Moon again. Whether that was a broken play, it appeared to be or not, he has the first down at the 32. Let me go back to the home field. Everyone fighting for home field, and yet the Oilers told us almost to a man yesterday they were glad this game was not at home. They were happy to be on the road.
Yes, and for the first of 3 weeks on the road, they got tired of the booing and answering all of the criticism. It was not comfortable playing in the Astrodome. And they thought it was very healthy. One, when you're on the road, generally the team is closer. You're all in the same hotel. There's meetings as one Oiler fan from Houston made it from dome to dome.
On first down, Moon, a quick toss to Ernest Gibbons, the touchdown maker, to the 41-yard line, a pick up of 8 yards. And here's a startling statistic on Warren Moon. 39 yards rushing. The Vikings have a total of 40.
Oh, so rare is that. In a lot of years since Warren Moon thought seriously about running for 39 yards.
Second down and 1 for Houston.
Pass protection has been awful good for Warren Moon, except that one play that resulted in the turnover.
Minnesota primarily going with that 4-man rush as they are now. Noga, Thomas, Randall, and Goldman. White slams for the first down out to the 45-yard line before Todd Scott can make the tackle.
It does appear, and of course the Houston Oilers run and shoot this year made a bigger commitment to running the ball on a more regular basis. We had Alan Pinkett on NFL Live at halftime. He was the leading rusher for the Houston Oilers last year. Lorenzo White held out. Pinkett had such a great start to the season that Lorenzo White did not start a game for the Houston Oilers last year. And he was approaching 1,000 yards as a rusher in 1992. Big addition to this run and shoot.
First down from the 46. Whoa! and John Randall shot from McKinn, took the inside move and a direct line on Warren Moon.
Well, he goes around Dawson, and sometimes these big guys use power. Here's Randall just outside Dawson. There's nothing to this except extreme strength, Dick. The swim move, the right arm underneath the pass protection, and a late hit by Thomas. Normally the official says, before that second guy gets here, we're going to rule it a sack.
May not have been a whistle. Dolman got there too and will get half a sack on 2nd and 20.
Blitz.
And a deep throw to Duncan. Oh, so close to a big gainer. At the 40, a good defensive play by Carl Lee. As that one trickles off the fingertips of a man who played for Dennis Green at Northwestern, Curtis Duncan.
Minnesota again trying to upset the rhythm. You see the entire up front blitz, and here's the matchup. You would think there's man-to-man coverage, although Carl Lee, 39, off looking at the quarterback and does an excellent job of just holding up Duncan at the last split seconds to knock away the reception. Oh, that's so close to perfection. Great defense, also a great throw.
Pressure has been on Moon. He has been protected like crystal through most of this year. Screen to Lorenzo White, runs into his own man and gets to the 45-yard line. That'll be far short of a first down. The Minnesota defense has forced Houston to punt. Only the second time in the game that the NFL's top punter, Greg Montgomery, is called upon.
Well, again, I don't think Warren Moon goes off to the sideline happy. They had the opportunity to score on the last drive of the first half and come out in the second half and establish some control of this game, but could not get it done.
Montgomery to kick it to Anthony Parker. Parker with a touchdown in the first half on the fumble recovery and run of 58 yards. Headed for the sidelines. And he got it out of bounds in the corner. 3-yard line. What a kick. Montgomery, former kicker at Michigan State for George Perlis, a 51-yard boot.
Fastest service, now in more locations coast to coast. By cold filtered Keystone, Keystone Light, and Keystone Dry. Bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great? By Prestone, it stops the rust that stops your car. And by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Welcome back to the Metrodome, and the Vikings pinned deep in their own end by the right foot of Greg Montgomery. Begin at the 3-yard line. Actually, the 2.5. And it's Roger Crandall, reliable, climbing over the wall for a gain of 4. Let's check the Warren Moon efforts as compared to the rushing of the Minnesota team.
Wow. They only threw for 37 yards in the first half, Minnesota. They have sustained nothing in that first half. 1 of 6 in third down conversions. This has not been a stellar offensive performance to this point.
Vikings go with 3 tight ends. And give to Roger Craig. Veteran runner across the 10, close to a first down. Down around his ankles, Jerry Grave came up from a corner.
Well, one thing about this Minnesota Viking offense, it is a multiple offense. With all the different formations, there's a certain amount of trickery involved. You're trying to look for mismatches in this offense. Washington does try to get a linebacker out of alignment so that he can't support. Big third down conversion here for Minnesota would help their psyche.
Third, it's about 1.5. Again, to throw. Oh my, Anthony Carter, the sure-fingered receiver, lets that one get away.
Well, that hit his hands like the North Poles, you know, 2 magnets. I mean, this thing just flies out of his hands. He has excellent hands, and there was not even close to a catch there.
has a streak going, a catch today, 105 consecutive games he's caught a pass. He's moved ahead of Ahmad Rashad into the second place position, all-time Minnesota catches. Ahmad had 400. Carter's got about 405 now, and the all-time leader, Steve Jordan, the tight end.
Ahmad would want me to tell you that all of his catches were outdoors, though. Big difference.
Webster Slaughter rubbing his mitts down at the 45-yard line as Newsom drills a Judy. That one straight from the roof. Slaughter out of bounds at the 43-yard line. A 54-yard punt by Newsom. Is he rooting him out today? 7 yards on the return. It's tied at 10, and there's 8:54 left in the third. Snow during the week here, some flurries, temperature dropping down below zero. The ponds are starting to freeze, and there goes the offensive brain trust of the Houston Oilers, defensive trust.
That's Jim Eddy standing there at the board. They got Polaroid pictures. He assembles his defense, and now they're up off the bench. They're very interested in what the defensive coordinator is saying. Good performance today by the interest. A lot of interest in what the coach is saying.
A good field position for Houston. They're second best of the game. They start from the 42. Hit. And that may go to the Vikings if it's rolled a fumble. Todd Scott. That's a familiar name. Scott made the hit, and he thought he had a fumble. Scott was the man who created the Ditka epicenter in the earthquake that rumbled through the NFL.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Brings up second down.
Scott, you'll recall, with the Bears leading 20-0, watch number 38 was the man who made the interception, and then the Harbaugh-Ditka episode. Almost looked like that was a Jerry Gray play where he was going to steal it away, but the ball hits the ground.
Second foot of Jeffries did not come down. Good call. Got to be second foot down. No way. Ball is loose. Excellent call again by the officials. Incomplete pass. Yeah, but Todd Scott, he's the guy who made sure that Jim Harbaugh will never again call an audible.
Ever. Spending a timeout, Warren Moon. Get back on track and make it 6-4. Minnesota has a 3-game lead atop the NFC Central and all the advantages against those below them. They beat the Bears twice. Moon spending a timeout with 8:44 left in the third quarter. It's second down and 10. Terrific protection and going long for Jeffries. Just missed. Jeffries told us yesterday, even if we don't complete the long pass, I hope we'll call that more often just to try to stretch the defense. They've been crowding us.
Just to threaten them. Jeffries with excellent speed. That's McMillan, Audric McMillan, Vincey Glenn, 25. Yeah, just to loosen up the defense. I can tell you this, though. Curtis Duncan, number 80, the receiver underneath, wide open. There's a good 15-yard completion if Warren Moon goes to Duncan. But you're right, they left the impression. We will go deep.
Jeffrey saying Cleveland dared us to go long. He didn't get it off, did he? I guess just did. And regrets it. Dolman gets the sack and the fumble. That's what he calls the daily double.
This guy is a wonderful pass rusher. He's on mags. Look at that speed around him. He knows he's got the sack. He intentionally tries to knock that ball loose. He has accounted for an awful lot of fumbles from opposing quarterbacks throughout his career, and he has done it again.
Houston fortunate to fall on it, and Greg Montgomery will kick it to Anthony Parker. See Parker with 27 at the far end of the Metrodome. 16. Good coverage by the Oilers. Parker stopped at the 22. Crowd thought a little bit too rough on the defense. 47-yard punt, 6 yards on the return. Well, from football next weekend on Saturday, we'll get to watch The world's top triathletes test their endurance. It's the 15th Ironman triathlon. Grueling competition features 2.4-mile ocean swim. That alone would eliminate a lot of us. 112-mile bike race, and then, as if that's not enough, a full 26-mile-plus marathon to the finish. Oh, Iron men and Iron women they are. The Gatorade Ironman Triathlon next Saturday at 4 o'clock.
Something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's right behind Acapulco free diving and
And triple root canal.
yeah, those are all right high on my list.
My list too.
On the 21. 10 old time, midpoint, third quarter. Terry Allen now in the running back. Houston has had Allen's number and the Vikings running number, and then on the far sidelines, a little extra play. Randall McDaniel, 64, blocking downfield. We asked Dennis Green, why didn't you use the Bill Walsh San Francisco 49er offense? And I thought it was really interesting. And obviously, he had to consider it. That's where he really picked up most of his offensive ideas.
His answer makes clear sense. I mean, astounding sense.
On 2nd and 8. Incomplete, intended for Chris Carter. Steve Jackson, 24, around his ankles.
Now to the Dennis Green choice to go to Joe Gibbs in the Washington Redskins offense was, if you look at the new coaches in the NFC Central, they're all out of Bill Walsh's school. Sam White's in Tampa, Paul Holmgren in Green Bay, and he said, we want to be different than those other two teams in the NFC Central who are bringing in Bill Walsh's offense.
He said, I didn't want to make Ditka's job too easy.
Yeah.
All he had to do is practice 6 games against the 49er offense. So he went to Washington. It shows the open-mindedness of the man. Gannon going to scramble. And doesn't get much. Now here's Gannon, one of the outstanding running quarterbacks along with Steve Young in the league. And Warren Moon certainly wouldn't fit in that category, but it's been Moon's day on the run.
Yes, it looks almost as if Rich Gannon is reluctant to run the ball. Like the Jack Burns, the offensive coordinator upstairs, telling Rich Gannon, you know, we've got to throw the ball to beat this team.
Burns was Gibbs' assistant for 3 years.
3 years.
The offense. Gannon said he spent 6 hours a day, 5 days a week in the offseason learning a whole new offense based on the Redskins concept. Webster Slaughter back. Newsom, he has really been punting. This one not quite as good. A dying spiral. Slaughter, fair catch at the 36-yard line. Ooh, it gets cold even when it's warm inside. Timeout. 6:07 left in the third. Touchdowns today. A 58-yard run with a fumble by Anthony Parker when Carlos Jenkins jarred it free from Warren Moon. As you look at Roger Craig, who certainly has found the end zone more than his share of times in the NFL. And then at the end of the half, Warren Moon driving the Oilers to a tying score, hit Ernest Givens 5 yards for the touchdown. After the punt, Oilers from the 36. Outside of Jeffries, who is drilled by Audrey McMillan. Short pickup.
Still trying to get Jeffries somehow involved on a regular basis. It's just not worked. It's just not. They have shut him down for 2 weeks in a row. Last week, just 1 catch against Cleveland.
He's got 3 today, 31 yards. That gives him 62 for the season. He's on a 100-catch pace, and that's what he collected last year. 5th man in NFL history to hit the century mark in receptions in a season. 2nd and 3. Cookie, Duncan. That's got to be tough on the little receivers.
Ooh.
That long pass to the sidelines, knowing that a man's going to come up and drill you. Carl Lee was there, the veteran. First down.
At some point, as a receiver standing out there waiting for that ball to get there, you swear that real life goes into slow motion. It just won't get there. You can hear the guy coming. Come on, get there. Finally.
You know you have him deep. You've got a cushion there, but it just seems that it's
like when in an emergency where you're waiting for help to come, and it just seems that 1 minute seems like 1 hour.
An eternity.
Now the Oilers moving the ball. Curtis Duncan getting his first catch. And now Lawrence White, well read. Al Noga and John Randall. High and low on the ball carrier. Randall's brother, Irvin, playing with Kansas City as a linebacker until this year, released by the Chiefs.
You know, I really thought that this defensive line of Minnesota would be a lot for the Houston Oilers offensive line to handle, but in fact, they have done a pretty good job. This is a short trap run by Houston, and there's just too many people there for them to account for. This defensive line has been pretty well shut down by Houston's offensive line.
Gibbons, that water bug move of his that gets a first down at the 40, a 12-yard pickup.
Interesting pattern. Webster Slaughter runs right out in front of Gibbons. Now watch what happens. See Webster Slaughter clear out 57. Mike Merriweather. Here's the clear out. Here's the intended receiver. You see the two guys in coverage. Excellent job. I mean, that's just finding a seam, time to throw. And again, the four guys up front for Minnesota, well handled. And linebackers have gotten to Warren Moon today, but the defensive line only a little bit.
Slaughter in motion. Part of the difficulty of that slot position. Moon, watch out. Knocked away by Dolman, and the Vikings have it. Daily double.
Well, normally the racetrack, yes sir, Minnesota ball, where the daily double is common. If you win 2 in one day, Dick, I mean, that's a major.
The early and the late.
Absolutely. You go home happy. This was intended to be a screen. Dolman again around Maggs. That big arm just knock away Maggs. Arm not going forward. It looked like it was going towards Lorenzo White.
One thing about those daily doubles, it helps your team to look for the pick six.
Very good, yes. Yes.
Timeout is signaled by referee Howard Rowe. 2:59, defensive star. Chris Dolman ignites this Viking crowd. And Minnesota takes over at the 36. Trying to find an offense. It's Terry Allen out to the 40-yard line. Let's go back to Dolman's effort. In his language, daily double means a sack, and anytime you force a fumble by the quarterback here, it's a sack and then the fumble. Then watch Dolman afterwards.
Lorenzo White was the intended receiver. You see 56 in the background. That is very close to the arm going forward. We're in super slow-mo here, so it's tough to determine, but Dolman keeps on going right for the football.
And recovered it. Boy, what a player. Now Moon again on that backside. Second down and 6. Gannon going on top. Carter went out of bounds, so even if he catches the ball, it would not have been allowed.
And Carter is saying to the official there, Jerry Gray pushed me out of bounds 15 yards down the field.
When you see an official without a hat on, you know that the receiver went out of bounds.
Immediately. Now let's see if there's contact. Oh, there most certainly is by Jerry Gray, but the veteran gets away with it. Carter right to the official. There's, hey, no, Jerry goes, not me. No.
48-yard passing day so far. 1 for the last 7. 3rd and 6. And through the hands of Carter, and on top of everything else, Chris Carter and Anthony Carter not able to hang on to it, and a flag is down, and that could be costly if that's a personal foul against Houston, because they had stopped Minnesota and were about to get the ball on a punt. Lamar Lathan made the hit.
We have not called Lamar Lathan's name yet today, have we? First time, and it's called for a late hit. Keeps the drive alive.
Right in front of the head man, Jack Pardee.
finding his spot to make the call. Right about there.
Personal foul. 15-yard penalty. Down.
See, he moved the wrong spot. See, the microphone works better if he'd walked 35 yards the other way before he made the call. But now it's marked off to the 45.
Well, you see the missed reception. He's good 3 yards from the sideline. Latham must have had his eyes closed. Senseless, foolish penalty. This is a guy who is a rookie, did nothing. Last year had a sensational year. And this year, unfortunately, back to doing little or nothing for the Houston Oilers defense.
That's a mental breakdown. Only the 6th Minnesota first down. Keep running that play to the right, and Allen gets more yardage this time, down to the 39. Gain of almost 7 behind Brian Habib. Sean Jones, the tackler, along with Latham.
But, you know, Dick, they're doing an excellent job, this defensive line up front, doing an excellent job of standing up the offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, watch out, Childress and Fuller get these offensive linemen up. You see Childress, he's got a hold of the offensive guard there, Habib, 74, and when you get him up, then you're in control.
Tried to give Latham one. He did not get in on that play. It was Al Smith who collaborated on the stop. Close to the first down, and Latham did get a piece of the tackle this time.
And he sticks his hand in the face mask of the guy on the ground. Latham not impressing many people in Houston with his play this year, and also now in Minnesota with his play. This is a young man with a world of talent, but admitted when he came into the game as a rookie did not have much respect for the NFL players. Thought they were no better than him. Learned the hard way. Last year, an exceptional season for Houston. This year, nowhere close to the way it was before.
Roger Craig with Randall McDaniel lined up in a fullback position, a blocking back, and he leads the way. Craig first down at the 33.
First made famous by Mike Ditka, with William the Refrigerator Perry in the backfield, that offensive lineman. What did Randall tell us? You ask him, do they have a play for you to run it? He says, yeah, we run it in practice. We don't run it in the game.
And that'll take it down to the end of the quarter. As you see, 6'4", 270-pound McDaniel shutting off Latham. Almost like we're picking on him, but the ball takes us right to him, doesn't it? And that is the end of the third quarter. Still tied at 10. We'll return to the Metrodome after these messages from your local station. Minneapolis, the Metrodome, and it's a 10-all tie. A couple of field goals, a fumble return for a touchdown, as the Vikings have scored 3 straight weeks on defense and 5 touchdowns in 3 weeks. Warren Moon's long touchdown drive at the end of the first half to tie it at 10. No score in the third. Chris Dolman sacking and forcing a fumble of Moon to deny the Oilers, and now it's Minnesota off that fumble, driving to the Oiler 33-yard line as we open this fourth period. There's Dolman. He says he wants to. I said, ask him, if you weren't a football player, what would you like to be? And he said, a musician. He said, in fact, no one knows it, but I'm practicing on the saxophone. The little girl calls it the big whistle.
And I said, Chris, you're playing it wrong. It's not supposed to sound like a whistle.
When you don't play it right,
it will whistle.
Yeah, but you don't laugh. We didn't laugh before.
No.
We're laughing now. We got distance. And look what he's done. Dolman, in just his 8th year out of Pittsburgh, he's only 2 behind the great Alan Page in forced fumbles in Minnesota history. First down, Gannon and the Vikings at the 33. For Allen, it's only a yard. Well, there must be something bigger than that happening, because we get the call to go to NFL Live in New York.
Well, after trailing almost the entire game, Dick, Cleveland finally takes the lead at home, capping a 10-play, 99-yard drive with his 24-yarder from Mike Tomczak to Michael Jackson. About 6 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Cleveland leads it 10-7, and we'll have all the scores and highlights on the Old Spice post-game report.
All right, Robert, the Browns continuing to play great defense. Gannon, plenty of time for a change, and he's going long for Anthony Carter. Too long. here at the Metrodome.
Rich Gannon has had a day like Warren Moon had last week. Look at those numbers. Absolutely miserable. Indoors, there's no excuse. He has quality receivers. They're all healthy.
Well, they've dropped a few, though.
Well, they have dropped a few. I agree with you.
But that one appeared to be Carter was open by 12 yards and couldn't find it. Gannon won for the last 8 attempts. Down to 9. Could be intercepted. No, out of bounds. And Gannon took a hit as he delivered the ball. So the passing frustrations continue.
And the fans let Rich Gannon hear about it. One of the problems with the Ace offense is that you only have, at times, 3 guys in the pattern. And when you see Allen get knocked out of the pattern down below, there's only 2 guys down the field, Chris and Anthony Carter. And when you have just 2 guys to throw to, not much of an opportunity.
Claude Reveiz is going to try a 51-yard field goal. He made one from 52 earlier this year. Time called. And Houston using their second timeout.
Too many guys on the field, Dick. Drives coaches crazy.
Ask Jackie Sherrill.
Oh, yes.
Last night against Alabama. We'll be right back.
Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. Buy new Hager wrinkle-free cotton pants. 100% cotton, 0% wrinkles. Buy Kentucky Fried Chicken. Nobody's cooking like today's KFC. And by the heartbeat of America, Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealer.
Yeah, young and old. Enjoying the action. Mostly on defense today at the Metrodome as Claude Reveiz tries to break the 10-all tie with a long 51-yard attempt. He's got it. Boy, on line drive, and Minnesota owns the lead.
Dick, that went under somebody's arm. I'm telling you. That thing wasn't head high when it went across the defensive line of scrimmage. Watch this ball. How low it is. Ray Childress gets his hand up there. Man, that was a shot.
Claude Reveiz, who was a pickup from San Diego a couple of years ago, and he looked that well. It did look to have block written all over it.
Absolutely.
That took off like a jet.
Hit it right in the middle. Good follow through. Kept his head down, just like you do on a backhand.
I'm trying to hit my backhand, especially cross court. I try to keep my eye on the ball, not.
Well, same fundamentals apply on a pitching wedge.
Now Reveiz, who is 226 pounds, was a linebacker in high school in Miami, and drafted by the Dolphins, then went to San Diego, and the Chargers, after a few games in '90, released him. Minnesota picked him up, and all he did was set a Viking record, hit 19 in a row, 90-91, and this year having another good season, a 51-yarder for the lead with 14:07 left.
Jan Stenerud, who finished his career here with Minnesota, the Hall of Fame kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's where he was known best. At the end of his career, did a game up here, and I said, "How do you like this place?" And he says, "I wish I were 20 years younger."
Well, even at 40, he kicked like he was.
Yes, he did.
The Oilers get it back now, down by 3. Turnovers have led to all the Minnesota points. At Coleman. Boom! Crushing hit. And then he spun forward to the 21-yard line. Carlos Jenkins finally finished the job, number 51 tonight. Speaking of finishing our Sunday efforts on NBC, here's the lineup. It's a special new 2-hour eyewitness video, a raging tornado scene, a prison riot videotape from inside, and then a salute. Phil Donahue, 25 years, great television, 2 hours prime time, star-studded special. Donahue's 25th anniversary show tonight at 9/8 Central on NBC. Jeffries to the left. Gibbons in the slot to the right. Leonard Harris Jefferson motion. Lorenzo right. And Lorenzo had to be trying to catch with hands and still protect his backside. He didn't know who was coming.
Actually, he did a pretty good job, Dick. Warren Moon couldn't get him the ball on the first time he pumped, only because there was a defensive lineman in the way. He kind of rolled away a little more, just couldn't quite make the catch. Now, I must comment, too, it looks to me like the Houston Oilers have moved Webster Slaughter to the outside spot. He is in the lineup.
Duncan now goes wide right. Jeffries to the left. Harris has replaced Slaughter in the slot left. Gibbons slot right. Minnesota fans forcing Moon to use silent audibles. But that is not a contradiction, a silent count, actually. Short of the first down. And here's why Minnesota leads 13-10 today, in case you're just joining us. A fumble, and they had to punt that one away. They got a touchdown on a fumble return. An interception led to a field goal, and now Chris Dolman's sack fumble led to the field goal that gives the Vikes a tenuous 13-10 lead.
So the defense of Minnesota has outscored the offense, 7-6.
Third down and 3. Enough, it would appear, for a first down across the 31-yard line, toppled by Del Rio and Parker. Now, many concerns of Houston, and we look at this again as Moon is able to just get enough out there to Lorenzo White. Parker's played a big game, hasn't he? They don't have to measure it as a first down. Is the fact that the Oilers, who last year in the fourth quarter outscored the opposition 147-55. I mean, they dominated the fourth quarter. This year are being outscored in the fourth quarter 62-57.
Last year, of course, this was a great ball possession offense. Not so this year.
12 minutes to go. Moon to Duncan. And Dennis Green sees one of his former pupils at Northwestern pick up the first down out at the 43-yard line. Well, Chris Dolman's had his day, 2.5 sacks, but there have been times where the offense has done a good job as well.
This is Maggs in the pass protection. At that time, Dolman kind of loses his footing a little bit. Maggs takes advantage of it, puts him right down into the AstroTurf here in the Metrodome. Dolman is tough for anybody in the league. I mean, I don't care who you are, and with a run and shoot, there's no tight end there to split him out wide. There's no running back there to help. Maggs is by himself.
That's a linebacker number, but he's 6'5", 275. Runs like a linebacker. Draw to White. And that's a couple after he's hit out to the 47. It'll be a gain of 4. Carlos Jenkins, the tackle. Jenkins, who has forced a fumble today that led to the touchdown run by Parker. He had a touchdown with a fumble recovery himself last week against Tampa Bay, and he had an interception for a touchdown against the Bears. So you talk about big play on defense. This young man from Michigan State is really producing for Dennis Green.
Plays the weak side outside linebacker and is no bigger than a lot of safeties in this league.
219 they listed. Second down, 6. He's just shy of the first down at the Minnesota 48-yard line. Jenkins, the tackle.
Now this is a little more like the run and shoot. You spread the ball over the place. You run a draw to Lorenzo White. You throw it inside. You throw it outside. And when things work beautifully like that, it is a very difficult offense to stop. You can see the two inside guys are the most active. That's where Warren Moon, I believe, has the most confidence in these receivers. And here is the little slant in by the outside guy. Easy completion. Almost for a first down.
White met by Jenkins again. What a game for Carlos Jenkins.
Boy, to that.
They give a good spot, but I don't believe it'll be enough for the first down.
I mean, he can see Lorenzo White coming all the way here. It's me and him. Buckled his knees a little bit, drives him back, and I don't think they're going to give him enough yardage for the first down.
They're not, but Jenkins is going to go right back to work after that celebration. The youth of the Vikings, Todd Scott in his second year, Jenkins a second-year player, 4th and inches. He doesn't get it off.
Here's the downside of the run and shoot. There's no Randall McDaniel to put in the backfield to help your run.
No tight ends.
No tight ends, so their only choice, try to draw them off sides.
And the crowd celebrates, applauding itself. Their noise helped the Vikings. Well, Carlos Jenkins says he loves music. He has over 1,000 discs. He said everything from jazz to Bach.
That covers it. That covers it there.
He's playing some hidden music here in the Metro Dome today as Montgomery to kick. Aiming downfield. That's returnable. Anthony Parker to the 25-yard line. Tackled by Steve Jackson and Scott Kozak. Timeout. 8:55 to go. Carlos Jenkins and the Vikings by 3. The series in the fourth quarter, they're 25. The complication of the Washington-Minnesota system is reflected in the play calling, Bob Trumpy.
Yeah.
Lead us through, and what is Gannon seeing from the sideline?
Brian Billick is the tight end coach. He's the one who signals in from, is the tall gentleman. He signals in from Jack Burns upstairs to play. We'll give you an example of what it might be after this one.
Gannon looking for some yardage has had a cold passing day.
Green.
Well read by the Oilers, but Roger Craig spins out of there. "22 yards for Roger Craig, the former 49er.
Boy, Dick, by all rights, this place should not produce this kind of yards. Houston has this defense beautifully. Look at that. 4 guys out there. Roger Craig cuts back inside 79. Ray Childress bounces around a couple of defensive backs, runs through the tackle at 57. Lamar Lathan, 21 yards later, big play.
Gannon had been known for the last 10 prior to that completion and shouldn't have gotten that much out of this one. Allen cut down in a hurry. Let's go back to the play calling as he signals in. Now, what are we seeing?
Here's the hand signal. So this comes from Jack Burns. Billick, the tight end coach, signals things in. And in all of that, it translates into this. First the shift, then the formation, motion, protection, and route number.
And then in actual language, this is what will be called in the huddle by Rich Gannon. We'll give you that after the play. What does all that mean in their code? That's real Redskin stuff. Gannon off the hand of Anthony Carter, incomplete, 3rd and 6. Let's go back to that call. That's there, the shift formation, motion protection, route number, translated in language for the Vikings.
Stem, Vice Right, Ox, Lightning, 087, on 2. Ready, quick.
And then I heard it was Axe Rocket 35 Spear, Purple Pump 735. That's, and Chris Carter told us he'll be hearing that as he's going in motion, have to adjust his whole action on the run.
Yep. May have to be part of the pass protection. That's how complicated this is. That's why so many guys spent so many weeks learning this new offense.
3 seconds on the play clock, so Gannon isn't going to get it off. And that's one of the times where the translation of information, then you look at the defense, time ran out on Gannon and Minnesota.
Well, we mentioned Rich Gannon, this offense. He watched all 19 Washington Redskin football games last year, including the Super Bowl.
Saw that 10 times, he said. I said, well, you were here in Minneapolis. Didn't you go to the Super Bowl? He said, yeah. He said, I was just, I don't want to use the exact language, but I was very upset, he said, at not being in it myself. I'd rather watch it at home, let someone else go, sold my tickets. There's Burns, the assistant. He watched with him. He was with Joe Gibbs for 3 years. Dennis Green, familiar with Joe Gibbs because Green recruited Joe's son, Boyd, to Stanford. And, of course, got to meet Joe in that whole process as Gibbs becomes a Stanford fan. He is a fast-talking, energetic. I mean, when he lights up the room. I mean, your impressions when you just see him and you can't hear him as you do on television, totally different than when you're there.
That's absolutely true. Plus, he's banging on the table and making motions.
And made it. Okay, 3rd and 6 after the timeout. Childress putting on the pressure, and Gannon dumps it off. No flag. Ray Childress, who leads the Oilers with 8 sacks and 3 forced fumbles, spoiled Green's plan on that one. And he is the fire of this Houston defense.
Absolutely. He spoke very plainly about what he thought about what was wrong with the football team. And some of his teammates didn't like it, but that isn't generally the case. When a leader steps forward and says, this is the problem, those people who do not contribute to the team, sometimes they disagree, and they disagree because they may be part of the problem.
Well, no argument about his effort.
No, none
Every
whatsoever.
player said, boy, he plays hard, practices hard.
At a position he doesn't even want to play. He'd prefer to be a defensive end.
Newsom. He hit that one high. Slaughter lets it go, and it'll be a touchback at the 20. 48 yards, 28 net. 7:27 to go, and we're flying toward the end of the 4th quarter. 13-10 Minnesota. Minnesota protecting a 3-point lead. Half of the 4th quarter to go, and Warren Moon and the Oilers take over the 20-yard line, and Moon having a big day statistically, 25 for 35. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 1 fumble. Spirited as Moon throws to Jeffries. He got hit in that ball there just barely in time. Audrey McMillan with a tackle.
Again, it's one of those things that just seems like it's in the air forever. You see the little dash to the left by Warren Moon. I've never seen a quarterback in my life throw more great-looking spirals than Warren Moon. It has to be in part all those years playing for the Washington Huskies in the bad weather in Seattle and playing for the Edmonton Eskimos in Canada. This guy just throws a beautiful football, a very catchable ball.
26 completions. He broke Dan Marino's record last year, NFL record, in attempts and completions. Threw the ball 655 times. And 2nd and short to the sidelines to Duncan. And he's bumped right at the 30. It'll be close to a 1st down. Duncan with over 50 catches and no touchdowns this year. Hasn't had a touchdown in 18 games.
Once the quarterback gets out of the pocket, now receivers got to help him and help him big time. Duncan on the sideline, 1 step forward, and he makes the 1st down. That's all they need.
He didn't get it. It'll be 3rd and a half yard. 4 catches for Duncan to give him 53 for the season.
This looks like blitz here, Dick.
Todd Scott right up in the line of scrimmage. And Moon twisting, turning, falling over the pile. And we'll see they mark it across the 30, 1st down. Now, Jack Pardee, a very quiet man, when you meet him, you wonder, now how does he give a pep talk? Well, Warren Moon said, you don't be fooled by him. When he gets us alone in the locker room, what was the word he used? Inflection. There's plenty of inflection flying.
He likes to keep an even keel, though. I mean, he has seen so much in his life, inside of football and outside of football. It's hard to find a guy who's a head coach with more experience in the game of football than Jack Pardee.
Took 1 year off in the 80s to be the vice president of a mud company.
Mud? Buying or selling the mud? What are you talking about? Mud company?
Down the middle. And well protected, the cradle catch by Ernest Gibbons, it appears. Yes, Gibbons at the 45-yard line, 15 yards in the play.
Well, Dick, you see the difference now. He's in the slot, and when he catches this football, all he's trying to do is catch it, not make any more yards. Catch it, get on the ground, hang on to the football. That's how this run and shoot has changed over the last season or two.
8 catches today for Givens, but his first attempt early, he fumbled to stop a drive, as he fumbled last week that led to a Cleveland touchdown. And shaken on that tackle, so that gives us a chance. It's a doubleheader week on NBC next week, and here's our lineup. Houston, after this game, goes to Miami, the first of their 3-game road trip here, then Miami, and then we'll see them on Thanksgiving Day against the Lions, Cleveland against Minnesota. And everyone keeps saying, well, you talk to a lot of fans, even up here, they say, well, the Browns will go away. They're not going away. That's a defense. Bill Belichick's got them playing.
And, of course, Denver versus the Raiders out there on the West Coast. I guess it will be Jay Schrader at quarterback again next week, figuring he's going to be playing this week for the Los Angeles Raiders. John Elway. I couldn't determine anything wrong with Givens. He got up fine. He's got to leave the field for at least one play since the doctor and the training staff came out. I think it's probably cramps. He's maybe his left leg cramped up a little bit. Indoors, very comfortable for the fans, but well, he gets his left leg bent a little bit. And Lloyd's of London shivers every time he goes down there.
Yeah, he's at $3.7 million, and he's got to pay $30,000 a year to maintain that insurance.
At today's prices, that's a third of a game check now.
Warren Moon with the first down across the 45. 5 minutes, 8 seconds left. Minnesota by 3. White played collegiately here in Minneapolis against the Gophers, and a little extra play afterwards, and the Oilers thought there was a spear involved. Spearing tackle. I don't see the flag. Yes, now I do, as they clear the pile. Al Noga may have been the recipient of it, even though it was against a teammate.
Is he hurt? No, he's favoring his leg a little bit getting up there. Lost 20 pounds from last year. A lot more active, although.
Personal foul, number 51 on the defense. Face mask, 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, Jenkins, who's been hitting and grabbing all day and doing a terrific job of it, gets the wrong equipment this time.
Dick, watch this move that Lorenzo White puts on 55 Jack Del Rio. When he gets the ball, see it, just throws Jack Del Rio, crumbled his legs to pick up a few extra yards, and then, well, they call it face mask, but it's, I see, it's not on the running back, it's on the other Houston Oilers standing away from the pile by Jenkins.
At the 32, a first down. Similar call, and Lorenzo White close to 10 more yards to the 23-yard line as the Oilers drive now into field goal range, trailing by 3, 4:48 to go.
Like Van Waiters made the tackle, and again, it should be coming right at you. Warren Moon looks like he's sprinting out. Good push by the offensive line. And for a guy who weighs 225 pounds, and this kid is very quick with the ball, very, very shifty when he gets through the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 1, and a surprising final from Green Bay. The Packers upset the Eagles 27-24. Randall Cunningham's return as starting quarterback, a disappointment for Eagle fans. White caught from behind, a big tackle by John Henry Thomas. Thomas, so quick at 285 inside, gets to the heels of the ball carrier.
Thomas is the stay-at-home guy for this Minnesota defensive line. He's the one who offsets, and he still makes the play out here on Lorenzo White. Sometimes he's going to jump across the center space, sometime to the gap. That time he guesses White, and it's a loss of 3 yards.
Well, he knows the home folks are watching in Houston, went to high school there. So it's 3rd down and 4. In a veritable den. Oh my, what an effort by Moon to the
threatened. I believe he made the first down, but appeared to take another incredible hit.
Well, his neck really got bent down and bent down big time. I mean, he's moving. That's the good part. He's holding his left wrist and arm.
Jack Del Rio with a finishing tackle as Moon was stumbling forward. Should have been tackled a couple of times behind the line of scrimmage or before the first down effort. What a gallant game for this warrior.
And all day long we have seen Warren Moon in the first half.
That was the reaction of the crowd to the replay and the hit on Moon.
In the first half we saw him running the ball probably when he shouldn't have. And of course you realize that the quarterback always has the choice that once he breaks through the offensive line of scrimmage,
2, 3, 4.
Now he can take the hook slide, but he goes head first and watch this hit. 25, Vincie Glenn, helmet to helmet.
Del Rio trips him up apparently there, just enough to trip him up. And the sixth man, Vincie Glenn, applies a wicked hit on the shoulder, almost in that scapula area, the shoulder blade. And while he's trying to make the big play, the hits he's taken today, you wonder if he isn't sacrificing a season. As you saw Cody Carlson, number 14, the backup from Baylor, tuning up on the sidelines.
Well, Jenkins hit him in the chest, and he dropped the ball, and Minnesota runs it in for a touchdown. And now Vincie Glenn hits him in the back. I mean, those are spots where you can't put any protection, so they're exposed parts of the quarterback.
Indeed, much in part to the talent of Moon, the Oilers, down by 3, have driven themselves into position with a first down, well into field goal range. As we look at it again.
You see Randall, 93, initially gets a shot at him. Dolman misses him. Randall comes back. Well, you're going to see this hit all the way. Vincie Glenn
going right down with him.
Like 2 Rams butting up there in the mountain, doesn't it?
And it's not as if at this point that Glenn didn't know that Moon was going down. That's just the part of the game that those guys on defense are taught to tackle hard, and they almost a spear, but not. I mean, if it had been a step later, it would have been called on a penalty. Moon able at least to walk off. Good fans here in Minneapolis. Give him a hand. He's had a solid passing day. That 1 touchdown and 1 interception, a fumble as well, and has absorbed some incredible hits and has outrushed the top runner for Minnesota, Terry Allen, who has 40 yards. Moon with 46 painful advances on the ground.
I imagine he probably wishes he now had 44 yards rushing. Take off 2 of that last one, keep me in the game.
But he couldn't slide there. He would not have picked up the first down.
Correct.
Well, Cody Carlson, who has been in the last 2 games for Moon, did a good job rallying the team last week. Hands off to Lorenzo White, and he's close to another first down at the 11-yard line.
Well, there was nothing fancy about that play. Again, you saw the little half sprint by Cody Carlson, and Lorenzo White has been a real safety valve for this team. Run the ball very well. You see Dolman with that outside rush basically takes himself out of the game. Del Rio and Vincie Glenn on the tackle. 9-yard pickup.
Still attending to Moon. Minnesota has not allowed a 100-yard rusher all season. That's 77 now for White. Lorenzo has the first down on 2nd and 1, but it'll be the full 10 yards for the touchdown. First and goal for the Oilers at the 2-minute timeout. Warren Moon has driven the Oilers with an injury in position to win the game. It's up to Cody Carlson to finish the job. In that lonely world of the kicker. They win them and they don't win them.
Yeah, it was always the lonely world of the kicker back when I played. The only difference, they didn't speak English, so that's why they were by themselves. Now they're at least English streaking kickers.
One of the old-time lines. Alex Kara saying he worked 59.5 minutes, grinding, hitting, and then someone who comes in says, "I'll kick you a touchdown." Either wins it or loses it. First and goal. 2 minutes to go. One timeout left for Houston. 2 timeouts for Minnesota. Carlson gets 5 yards to Jeffries. Second and goal. We now get word from the Houston bench. Warren Moon sprained left shoulder. No ice on it, but he will not return. So it's up to Carlson, who's in his 6th year with the Oilers, the all-time passer in Baylor history when he left the campus in Waco. And this year is 27 for 41, 3 touchdowns, a couple intercepts.
Big, tough kid. When in doubt down here, he can't run the ball.
All the time remembering a field goal, which would seem automatic, would tie it. Second and goal. Touchdown, and what a throw to Haywood Jeffries, but a flag is down, and Jeffries might have been in motion. What a rope thrown by Carlson. But it isn't going to count.
Second down.
Look, I think he said a legal procedure or a false start. Let's see if we can pick up what happened.
Left tackle Don Maggs, little.
Yeah, he moved.
Just a little bit, so that should be no play then, right?
Correct. No time off the clock, no play.
It's second and goal from the 9. Lorenzo White, and White is to the 1-yard line, and saving a touchdown was the backup. They had him stopped, and then I believe it was Merriweather and Eric Everett, Todd Scott, who denied the score as Dennis Green wants to spend his second timeout with 51 seconds.
This is a middle screen by design. You see 74 Matthews out front. Boy, that is a gutty call by Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator. Warren Moon trying to yell Lorenzo White into the end zone. Comes up slightly short, inches short. That is a gutty call there. A middle screen, second and goal.
And Carlson with a timeout. We'll get his play call. Let's go back to this screen.
Here's the intended receiver. What they try to do is with all these guys clear everybody out, and then the offensive lineman release these guys outside, and Carlson gets the ball to Lorenzo White. Just a great tackle down at the line of scrimmage. Watch Matthews 74 block on Del Rio 55. Excellent job by the defense of Minnesota to stop Lorenzo White at 224 pounds right at the goal line.
What a day for White. He's rushed for 80 yards, a career-high 9 catches for 58 more. And one would think that White's number will be called here, wouldn't you?
I would certainly, yes.
Dennis Green having to call time to preserve, regardless of what happens here, a chance for the Vikings to have the ball again. Each team with 1 timeout remaining.
That's a check with me at the line of scrimmage.
White, touchdown! Lorenzo White, what a day for him. His 4th touchdown rushing this year, and now the Vikings not only are behind, they will need if this extra point is good, a touchdown to take the lead and have only 48 seconds in which to do it.
Dick, you saw at the line of scrimmage, Cody Carlson appear to call an audible. I doubt it. It's a check with me. You go to the line of scrimmage, look at the defense, run to its weakness. So you go up there with 2 plays in mind, either left or to the right. Carlson called it to the right side.
Lorenzo White, the quiet riot. Now the important extra point for a 4-point lead. Del Greco delivers.
17-13 Oilers.
This check with me run by Cody Carlson. You see 55, Jack Del Rio gets up in there. Ernest Gibbons, 81, with a nice block. Helps out, and it's just a sprint by Lorenzo White to the end zone. One of the key blocks right here on Jack Del Rio and 81. It's just a sprint there. And Carlson calls it beautifully, and nobody on the Minnesota defense can catch up to Lorenzo White. 6 points and the lead.
And Warren Moon, normally very controlled, no emotion, is in this role out of the game with the injury, trying to spirit his team from the sidelines.
Well, Dick, it's not been easy today for Houston.
And that's a demonstration by Pardee. 6, 7, 8 claps. And Cody Carlson, the value of an experienced veteran quarterback, certainly displayed in that last sequence. And meanwhile, late goings elsewhere, the scores come flipping through. San Diego scores at Cleveland with 2 minutes to go. Humphreys to Anthony Miller, 45 yards to give the Chargers a 14-13 lead.
Goodness.
And good news for Oiler fans as they're trying to catch Pittsburgh. The Lions now lead at Pittsburgh 14-10 on a Barry Sanders run early in the fourth quarter. As you see that last drive, started by Moon and finished by Carlson with help from a friend, Lorenzo. The Quiet Riot. I think that would be a good nickname. Del Greco's kick to Darren Nelson, the veteran from Stanford. Trying to make something happen, but gets only to the 15-yard line. 43 seconds to go. And as things heat up here in the NFL, Houston trying to be 6-4 to go to Miami next Sunday. That'll be a big game, first half of our doubleheader. The Browns will be here in Minnesota, the Colts at Pittsburgh, the late game, Denver, and the Los Angeles Raiders. The Broncos trying to protect their position atop the West.
Boy, it's been a struggle for Houston, and it's been an even bigger struggle offensively for the Minnesota Vikings today. Not established anything.
Gannon, his numbers passing have been remarkably low. Does he get that one? Was he? Yes, it's ruled a catch to Chris Carter, who steps out of bounds in front of his coach just across the 30. Check that, Joe Johnson it was. Joe Johnson from Notre Dame. Picked up on a trade from the Redskins this year early. And with that catch, Gannon gets 15 more yards to give him 85 for the entire game. Throwing 8 for 23. 38 seconds, one timeout left for Minnesota. And Gannon going long.
Good.
Wow. Jerry Gray was running away from the ball. Carter was running inside. And that ball, a desperation throw, almost landed in the arms of the ever dangerous Anthony Carter.
He takes his eyes off the football, which also means he takes his eyes off the receiver. And Carter was adjusting to the ball. Jerry Gray was not. The Houston Oilers now with 1, 2, 3, 6 defensive backs that I see, 1 linebacker, and 4 guys up front. So this is kind of the 3/4 prevent here by the Houston Oilers.
Oh, sensational catch. Chris Carter, and the Vikings spend their last time out. That is an athletic play. Good for 26 yards.
You know, we've seen the ball in his hands in a lot easier catches today that he's not made. In latter stages of the game here, he's on the inside, runs the crossing pattern. Beautifully done, stretching out. If he'd have made a couple of those catches early, he wouldn't have had to make a catch like this late.
Biggest passing play of the entire game for the Vikings, 26. Carter, who was in Buddy Ryan's doghouse, he said, I just frankly did not want to be a third receiver. Let Buddy know, and Buddy found a place for him on the waiver wire, and what a pickup for the Vikings.
You know, he was a Philadelphia Eagle co-captain the season before he was cut.
Caught 72 last year to lead this Viking team, and he leads this year, 46 coming in. Finally, Gannon over the 100-yard mark passing. And they move within 43 yards of a winning touchdown. No timeouts left.
end zone, up for grab. No, it goes out of the field of play. Joe Johnson, the target.
Certainly an interesting choice here.
2nd and 10. He wears the time remaining on his number, Rich Gannon.
I mean, when you're going to throw the Hail Mary, you certainly got to keep it in the field of play, down in the end zone. Let the receiver adjust to it.
Oilers rushing just 4 men. And part of the story will be the injury to Warren Moon, how serious its nature. On 2nd and 10. The roll, throw it up, and the jump ball in the end zone.
Oh, Carter's got his hands up.
No catch, no catch.
Whoa.
Out of bounds was the call. And the 2 officials agree.
The back judge says he was out of bounds on the catch, but a Minnesota Viking receiver. Yeah, watch what happens. Number 80's left. Carter catches it. Right foot comes down out of bounds, but he catches it.
Oh, he's such a fantastic athlete. And of course, through the years, he's made plays like this. Chris Carter.
Look at that. 1 foot in the end zone, 1 foot out.
Fans are booing, but it's clearly
no
illustrated there he was not in bounds.
Back judge was standing right there to make the call.
Yeah, but he called it a jump ball throw in these basketball trainings. 5 seconds to go. This is probably it. Last chance, and not intercepted, but it goes through the midst of Bubba McDowell and the Houston Oilers, led by Warren Moon, Cody Carlson off the bench, and a terrific game from Lorenzo White. Will go home with smiles, and if ever a franchise needed a win, it was out of desperation that this club fought today. 4-point victory, Moon over Minnesota. In the first half to get a touchdown to tie at 10 and rally late, and this the Hager Cotton super play of the game as Lorenzo White will be regarded as super for his effort today. The winning touchdown for the Houston Oilers as they defeat favored Minnesota 17-13. Warren Moon injured, didn't finish. Cody Carlson did the job. The Oilers are back in the fight in the AFC Central. Moon, a very big part of it all. For Bob Trumpy, this is Dick Enberg. So long from Minneapolis.